The Vuelta, it's entering a crucial phase. 2 days of climbing, and then Madrid. Surprises can happen. Well, Ace proving that yesterday. Will the mountains be a nasty surprise, though, for Yates today? I guess we're going to have to wait and see. Stage 19. Andorra beckons. And if you wanted to design a stage and all you had was a hockey stick as a template, lay it down on the ground. It looks pretty much like this if you tip the end up. It rocks, it rolls, and it kicks right up the backside at the end of today. Let's see how they go. Well, Mexican wrestling has travelled quite clearly. So have we. It's Julian Dean.
We're definitely nervous, we're definitely excited, we're a little bit of everything at the moment, but you know, it's really important. You know, the key message in the meeting was just to keep doing what you've been doing, maintain that calmness, maintain that good decision making in the final, and then, you know, the opportunities will come to you.
Sarah Mitchell's got nervous. Movistar will be as well. What's their battle plan? Next couple of days, team tactics are going to come to the fore. What can we expect?
Vamos a ver si con esa tensión podemos, el juego psicológico.
With all this tension, maybe we can play a psychological game and take advantage of that. Simon Yates has shown that he's been really strong, but we know this climb well. It's part of our training schedule for many of our riders, and the climb will be very exciting. We know all of it. And hopefully we'll be able to think about red. We can't take our eye off the other rivals like Steven Kruijswijk and Miguel Angel Lopez. They may attack. It could be aggressive out there. Well, last Sunday, Thibaut Pinot attacked, won the stage, and moved up the GC rankings. Since then, he's dropped a few places, but nonetheless, it shows what's possible. Who's going to be up for it? Here's Thierry Bicot.
Well,
It's a bit the same kind of stage as the Covadonga. Very beautiful climb, and one like this could be a big statement for the GC. Thibaut Pinot is a bit behind, so it's less dangerous for him regarding the GC victory, and if he's got good legs, he might give it a go like he did at Covadonga. So you never know, it might come back our way for the GC. Let's see if that's the case, shall we? Glorious. We've got a terrific day. The wind has swung round. It's light but a southwesterly, which means we've got a tailwind, and that has added impetus to the day. We've just had 3 riders who've attempted to make the break: Gebre Xavier, Simon Clark, and indeed Mikhail Kwiatkowski. This is the finish line where they were heading after that kick in the pants climb at the very end, and here are the hills that take you up towards, in fact, these are the foothills, a long way off. But we do start climbing after the next lumplet. No intermediate climbs, just a big kicker at the end today. We do have an intermediate sprint, however, and the cameraman's busy practicing his angles. Angling for success as part of the breakaway was Simon Clark, Gebre Xavier, and Mikhail Kwiatkowski. Clark thought, you know what, this is the wrong one. It doesn't feel right. And back he went. That was the end of that. And so 9 riders pushed on. In fact, they've recollected as 12. I'm just waiting to see if it includes Kwiatkowski and indeed those others who started the initial move. Nonetheless, a diamond dozen, but it's a modest margin, as you can see, and nobody has settled at all. We've only got 92 kilometres of the day remaining. It started off with 154 on the clock, so they've been busy. Sean, this is relentless, and one suspects it might go all the way, this kind of rolling attacks. What are Movistar going to do as well? They're running out of options, or maybe they've got plenty. What do you think?
Well, I think Movistar will like a very aggressive race, because well, that will make it difficult for Mitchell and Scott and for Simon Yates just to settle down and get a breakaway, to get off the front of the peloton. The ones that are not dangerous, like yesterday, for example, it was a perfect one, a small breakaway. So the sprinters teams are going to control yesterday. A different stage today, because you know, with the mountaintop finish, it's going to be More so, the general classification teams have to be careful. As you can see, it's still just attacking. It's going to go on for a long time, and this could go on for all day. And that's why you have to be very careful, because there's 4 riders here. We can see the Marquis, we can see Pierre Roland just going away, Anton also from Eagle Anton from Team Dimension Data. So, and more riders coming across, and you have just always have to keep on the front. If you're controlling the race for your race leader, well, then you just have to be real careful that somebody who's a danger one that don't get into a break of 8 or 10 or maybe 15 riders, and that can be a difficult one to pull down, and stretches the team a lot in this earlier part of the stage.
Well, it's been busy. I haven't got a time schedule just for the time being for you, but we haven't been hanging around, Sean, despite the fact that it's rolling. We've got this gentle incline, haven't we, before we actually get to our main peaks themselves into Andorra. And indeed, the profile on your screen now, Sean, shows you exactly what we've got to deal with. We're on a kicker as it stands. We'll go through a series of little hills. Then it's sort of lakeside, isn't it? Albeit at reasonable altitude before we finally kick on, take on the sprint, and then immediately afterwards we are climbing into hell.
Yes, well, we can see there where we are. We're just coming to Ponce, which is it kicks up a bit, and then a little bit of a downhill, and it does go back down again. But it starts to just gradually all the way to Andorra, uphill, very, very slightly in the earlier part, but it is a difficult one here, and it's going to be more difficult with no break really established at the moment, with 90 kilometers to go. That is always the problem. If you had a group already up the road here, a number of minutes, and just the peloton control, then it would be much easier for everybody. But we can see here a long line of riders, and it's still the racing goes on, and it's not looking like it's not finished for the moment.
It's certainly not finished. The aggression most definitely is not, and plenty of that is, I think, going to be displayed today by Movistar. They've got no other choice, really. It's just how they folded in. Working on the flat, one presumes that it's going to be the likes of Danny Bernardi and indeed Imanol Aveti that push them on. They've got plenty of manpower when it comes to the climbs as well. Likewise, Simon Yates, let's not forget. He's got his brother Adam Yates. He's got Jack Haig, who works brilliantly for him on the high ground. And it looks like this breakaway now finally may well be allowed to go. And you can see a different kind of demeanour with Movistar just controlling things. And there, the man in green, the big green meanie, Alejandro Valverde. Is he going to be in heartbreaking mode? Mitchelton Scott have clearly just barefaced agreed that they're suffering from nerves, Sean. Sometimes nerves can be a good thing if you can make them work for you, but they've got to work for you, not against you.
Yes, well, we could see there, excuse me, there was a Michelin Scott rider. I think it was just in the camera there was at the side of the road, and they were not too happy with the way they're all pushed into the left side. We can see here as you get further back the peloton, and it's Movistar are still pushing on here. Aveti, we can see there, very much keeping the pace real high, not allowing this breakaway to get away. Amador also very much to the front, and we can see this group is just hanging out there, but peloton not slowing down at all. The pace being kept real high by Movistar.
Yeah, it most certainly is. And just look at it. Luckily the wind hasn't blown up yet, but I've never had this, by the way, issued by a weather service, but I've got it here from TVE. It says there's a 25% chance of a doubling in the wind speed in the late afternoon. There we are. So the trouble is they don't tell me what the wind speed is now. So if it's only 1 kilometre an hour, double is, it's not massive. I'm hoping that we can see some flags or a wind farm and help you out a little bit later on. So about 2:10 in the afternoon. So if there is going to be a wind, it'll kick up a little later. There is an assist just for the time being because it's blowing in from the southwest, and we are heading northeast. So it's in their backs at the moment, and maybe that accounts for some of the pace. Big fracture, Pierre Roland with his sort of upright postal delivery service of the 1950s kind of style. There he is. I'm just wondering, it'd be nice if the cameraman could just hit the focus for us just a little bit. That would help. you know, you've got one, you've got a focus system, so why not use it? 3 out front, chased by 6, a duo as well. Not overly impressed with it, and indeed more coming through. Movistar sending out markers. Thomas again in the polka dot jerseys is up here. No surprise there that he's in the break, but how delighted was he yesterday after Yellow Valais? That was just marvellous. We'll be having a look at some of the social media, by the way, that has been ringing out there. The riders given at the end of the day to letting us know their feelings, quite frankly, and that's rather nice. And yesterday, well, what a day it turned out to be for Lotto Soudal and Yellow Valais. Do you know, of all the wins we've seen, I think he was probably the happiest. There you go. We'll be hearing from those riders in a few moments' time. There's the kicker that we were telling you about. They've got to get over this lump, and once they've done it, they go through this little cut in the hills. It'll flatten out just a little bit as we go lakeside, and then we kick up towards the end. Pace is relentless though, Sean. We're on a fast one.
It is relentless, and you can see here there's some on the rear getting a bit of a kick in here and just fighting to stay in contact. And you can see the long snake of riders there moving all the time and out front. It's still going on, attack after attack, and you can see that just 3 riders off the front there. We could see the Sky rider, it looked like Theo Gegenhardt is trying to get into a move here. More riders coming across. Pierre Roland very active as well. We did see Demarchi there from BMC, and Igor Anton from Dimension Data. He was up the road a bit earlier as well. But it's changing all the time here. You can see, you know, they're left of the road, middle of the road, the right hand side of the road, and just trying to keep the pressure on and see can they just break this elastic and get away out of the main peloton. But still, Movistar are still controlling here, and I think that's the tactic, just to make this race nervous, make it difficult, and for that way Mitchell and Scott are not going to have an easy day, because it's not settling down at all, and it's still going on here, and we're getting never so close as the finish. And this is a royal battle to get into the breakaway of the day.
It certainly is. How many break sheets have we marked up and ripped up, Sean? It's almost unkind, really. I really thought that Gebre Chabier, Simon Clark and Mikkel Kwiatkowski would be allowed to go, but no. I guess if time is running out for you to get something out of this race, then precisely that, you better get on with it. So it's, apart from anything else, it's potentially about stage wins as well as the GC battle. It may be a secondary battle that we have out there, but right now, what have we got? 7 riders who've decided to invest, and I keep saying it looks like this may well be it, and then another duo roll off and indeed wind them in. 86.1 kilometers to go. Still cutting through the hills that have defined this race. That and the temperature, at least today, it has dropped and is a pleasant 24 Celsius. You've got to take that. The tailwind, by the way, is 6 kilometers per hour, so that will double up to 12 kilometers an hour a little bit later on, which can only make the approach more hasty. We do actually make a turn after the intermediate sprint, which comes very, very late. It's hardly intermediate, it's just late. At about the 18 kilometers to go marker, 700 meters after we've dealt with the intermediate sprint, we take a turn, and that's when we start climbing, and that's the hell of the day. I guess you could say the hell of the north in a certain way. Don't know what that is in Andorra. Nonetheless, Vuelta story as promised. I don't know what the delay was, but that is coming up for you in a few moments' time. But Yellow Valais yesterday bringing cheer to all breakaways, Sean, acting like a beacon. We had plenty of the breakaway days in the opening week. They've been peppered throughout this Vuelta, though. Never lose faith if you're in the break.
Well, the breakaway never lost faith yesterday, and we did hear from Valais about, you know, how they walked it out and just kept it cool until the very end, and then really pushed on. And what a final it was to hold off. And you know, that 25 seconds with a number of kilometers to go, it looked like it was all over, but just did enough to hold on.
Wonderful. So we know about the legs. What about the thumbs? Lotto Soudal recorded 18 breakaways in La Vuelta, more than any other team in this edition. Today, Yellow Valais won the first victory for his team, sealing a breakaway reward. Viviani, last week of the Grand Tour, this can happen. The easiest stage of La Vuelta goes to a breakaway. Thanks, Quick Step team, for at least trying today. Rueful. Close but no cigar. No smoke. Thanks for all the messages. I'll keep trying, says Sven Erik Bistrom, the man who lost out of the line.
Congratulations! Congratulations! Very good, very good.
Yes! He was still like that at breakfast.
I worked very hard to this.
By the way, then he said, "I told you," with a big hug from De Gent. Touch van der Sande told us this morning today was his day. He didn't believe it was possible, but in the end, he brought it in. Gotta love that, Sean. Fortitude and belief. He had it both, didn't he, yesterday?
Yes, well, they worked it very well, and he did talk a bit about it. He did learn when you get into a breakaway, you have to be able to, you know, work it out well, and he did that because he went back to 2014 when he was in a breakaway of 11 guys, and Tommy Vuckler was there, and Tommy Vuckler said, "Okay, guys, easy, easy, easy. We take it easy, and then at 40 kilometers we go for it." And they did that, and then he got away in the end with Tommy Vuckler, of course, in the final, something like yesterday. And you know, he played it a bit with cool with Vuckler, and you know, there was a group coming up, and won there on the sprint, so he won his Paris tours there. And yesterday he did say the same. You know, they all agreed they do that and then really push on. Tailwind, of course, did help a little bit, but what a ride by them in the final. When you see, you know, 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes all through the day, like, you know, nobody, I think, expected the breakaway was going to stay away, and certainly the teams were very relaxed. They did not put many riders in the front. In the end, there was a big panic. They started to put more and more as we got into the very final kilometres, but too late, and they held on. And he also, you know, had it worked out well. He knew there was going to be a tailwind. He put on a big chainring, 54 in his outside ring, just for the downhills. And yeah, it all worked out, and they just about got to the line. And I think Bryson just panicked a bit. He started to ride, and Yelwala just, you know, sat in a little bit and then took up the sprint a little bit earlier than you normally would. But he had 300 metres to go and got his victory.
In the end, Sagan got the same time as the duo across the line, actually. No definable second between them. That's how close it was. But they made it. Welcome back. We've got 3 breakaway riders. They've finally, it seemed, been given the get-go or the let-go by the peloton. It's a modest margin just for the time being, but it looks like there's been some kind of settlement behind. Castrovilliers of Team Sky, Benjamin Thomas of Groupama Francis and Tom van Aersbroek. That's where we are, just about the halfway mark of today's stage. Total distance is 154 kilometres, of which, well, yeah, we're just bridging over that halfway mark, or about to. 80.4 kilometres of the day to go. Looking at Castrovilliers, I kind of feel, I don't often say this, but I kind of feel sorry for Team Sky, and particularly for Mikhail Kwiatkowski. He tried to get the break today. So many expectations, particularly maybe too many, on the shoulders of the pole, and now they're sharing the love and hoping that they can grab something out of this race. When was the last time we went to a Grand Tour, Sean, and Sky didn't win a stage? I'm struggling.
I think we go back to Giro quite a number of years ago, but that would be, I think, the one where we maybe did not get see a Sky rider winning a stage. Giro, of course, was a race which Sky, it was a difficult one for them for many years, and we did see that in the earlier part of this year's Giro as well, where Chris Froome was having some problems, crashing in the earlier part. Even before the opening prologue, he did have a crash, and then he crashed on the earlier days as well. And we were starting to ask ourselves, was the problem, you know, going to continue? But it all came right in the end of Giro. But yeah, I think Giro would be a one where they came out with no stages back a number of years ago.
Gianluca Brambilla just been given what looked like electrolyte, which suggests he's dehydrated, which suggests he's not very well, Sean. That's not good, because he would have been a hope for Trek today.
Yes, well, Brambilla is always a one which, on this sort of climb, you know, he is a rider that can get over the difficult terrain. Depending on what his problem is there, you just never know what the riders, but yeah, we see him get some sort of a sachet there from the team doctor, or the race doctor, sorry, so we'll have to wait and see. If you have a little bit of a a problem today. You're not feeling your best. Well, on this climb, I think you have to be at your best to be able to compete against the other guys who are going to be going for the stage victory. And the question is now, you know, will it be the breakaway or will it be out of the peloton? That's still very much wide open, as we can see here. 58 seconds for our 3 men, but the peloton is still rolling along at a strong pace, and they're not, you know, sitting up totally and allow the breakaway to take 3, 4, 5 minutes very quickly.
Let's see, they're up to a minute right now as a break, but it's taken very short order for us to complete the distance that we've had already. And in fact, it does calm down just a little bit. The high ground is around us, but we're not sailing up to it until the very last. In fact, until we have, what, 17 kilometres to go. Rabia working his way back in. You need all your boats in line, one suggests, and just look at this. Setting sail later, Movistar. What could be their battle plan, Sean? They've got several options, but really it's an undiluted push for Valverde. Ultimately, they want him in red, and they've even spoken about themselves being in red tonight.
Yes, well, how do you do that? It's not an easy one to work out, but looks like that Movistar, the tactic is just to keep the race real fast and keep it aggressive, and by doing that it's going to be more fast on the final climb, because if you come for a stage victory, well then, you know, there's going to be a lot more riders wanting to have a go for it, and that always makes it more difficult. But yeah, we can see, will Movistar continue on to ride here with 3 riders just over a minute out in front? It's going to be a long day for them. They've been doing it for a long time already, and still that's just under 75k to go.
So who do you lean on? That's the question. And indeed, as predicted, Imanol Oviti and indeed Danny Bernati. They are the engine rooms on the flat, Sean, and they're going to bust a couple of cylinders today, I think, on this approach. Attacking in moderation, sometimes being aggressive, as you quite rightly pointed out, Sean, is about taking your time, particularly in the breakaway. And yesterday it was a classic piece of, as you said, Vauclerism, where instead of busting a gut to get 8, 9, 10 minutes out there, they held back, and they almost threatened the peloton, didn't they, with giving up. And so they were allowed to preserve their energy throughout the entire stage, and then bang, he was suddenly hitting the marks at 60 kilometers an hour on the approach, and they couldn't wind him in.
Well, I think you know, we've seen that before, where the breakaway try and conserve energy for a long time and then really go at a certain point from the finish. But you need the riders that can ride at a real fast rate in the final. And you know, the guys we had up there yesterday, there were 3 real strong men, and they put in a real strong performance. And if you can do that and also get your tactic right in the earlier part of the day, because there's no point in racing 70-80 kilometers to finish and you're just going on and everybody giving it 100% in a small breakaway as well, as we had yesterday, 3 men. The peloton is just going to up the pace behind, because they have more men to do that, and more teams wanted to do that yesterday. And I think what happened yesterday, the teams of the sprinters, they thought everything was under control and they were a bit too relaxed, and they thought in the final 15-20 kilometers they would really suffer, the 3 out in front. But no, they put in an amazing ride, and yeah, they got it right as well, the way they calculated in the earlier part of the day, and sprinters teams all got cut out yesterday.
Wonderful. One of those stalks that goes and lays a pesky nest upon Sean Kelly's Spanish villa. There it is. In fact, that looked like a heron, but there you go. Meanwhile, Mitchelton Scott just coming up as well, just being guided up here, as you can see, by Alexander Edmondson, the Australian champion. By the way, thanks for all your kind thoughts from down under, and we appreciate the efforts that you make to get up or stay up, depending on which side of the great continent and nation you are. Indeed, I know we've got a lot of mates down under, so good day to all of you. It's a pleasure to be in your good company. And Mitchelton Scott, of course, gunning for a first Grand Tour win, and that would be huge news down under. I hope you join the gang. It would be marvellous. Take nothing away from Alejandro Valverde. It would be spectacular if he came through and indeed took La Vuelta here. He's got a fine team working for him, and you're looking at them right now. You know, there's a lot of crossover and affection between motorcyclists and cyclists. I know that Mark Cavendish as well, he is very much into his motocross, and I think he quite fancies having a go at it. I'd love to see him have a go at it as well. Yeah, MotoGP and the top-end sprinters kind of mix as well. And Marc Marquez has been paying a visit to Peter Sagan. He of the MotoGP multiple world champions fame, and Peter Sagan, a bit starstruck, and handed him a jersey. There you go. You see? Two-wheel champions. So what does Marc Marquez have to say about his visit? Yeah, I think he's equally as blown away. In fact, the world of motorsport as well has looks to cycling. Many, even car drivers, endurance drivers in particular, of course, it's part of their training schedule, getting out on the bicycle as well. So let's join Marc Marquez speaking to Ashley House. Ashley Spanish, just as quick as Marquez. Here we are with another two-wheel champion, not a cyclist, but a MotoGP champion, Marc Marquez. What are you doing here? I'm here to see one of my passions. Cycling is part of my training. I like it. It's a two-wheel sport, so it's part of my training, part of my life. I wanted to come. I live close from here, close to Lleida, and so basically, I just couldn't miss it. When you got a chance to see the Vuelta, you take it. So what are the similarities and the differences between both of these sports? Oh, let's see. You suffer, of course, in a different way. Even if you suffer in both sports, cycling, your legs suffer. Motorbike, you suffer as well, more for your arms and your concentration. But similarities are that they are two demanding sports, and the training is very important. And to finish, you're not on your own out there. It doesn't matter how good you are. If you haven't got a good team around you, then yeah, it's not about being alone. It's about being part of that group. And frankly, without a team, you can't win anything. This Vuelta is getting really exciting with the fans. What are we going to see today? Well, I was speaking a bit to Team Bora, and they were telling me that tomorrow will be a tough stage with a lot of rolling terrain. So today we're going to see some cyclists taking a step forward, but it'll be interesting to see what deficits they've got out there. Of course, Alejandro Valverde is in the mix, and he's Spanish, so it'll be good. The most important question is who's going to win this Vuelta. That's obviously difficult. It's impossible to make a bet, but day by day you think somebody will get time back, and then they lose time. So it'll be interesting, but overall they all just need to get to the end, to the final day with options, and that way it'll be more interesting for the spectators. Yes, indeed. Have a good day, and thank you very much. New to school? Well, we'll see. I'm not sure he's going to get all the way to Madrid, but he might. Marc Marquez may well indeed have a crystal ball. There's the high ground, and it looks granite hard, and you've got to be to cope with the demands that a great race such as La Vuelta throws up. Andorra is where we're heading, where incidentally you can buy booze in a fuel station, or indeed just about anywhere else. And they're trying to flog it to you. I know it's duty free, but it's impossible for me to drink that much. So if you don't mind, I'll just have a glass of fruit juice, thank you. It's amazing actually, when it's a wash and super cheap, you really don't fancy it. Well, yeah, there we are. Maybe I'm an oddity, I'm not quite sure. This looks like a sun farm, but I don't think it is. I believe this is those are paint testing trestles. Basically, you see how paint survives. There are various combinations of it in when it's exposed to sunshine. Anyway, that's an engineering thing. These guys have now a trio has turned into a duo because, quite frankly, Tom van Ersbroek, I don't think was supposed to be the chosen son for EF Education First, and so as a result we're left with Castro Viejo of Team Sky and Benjamin Thomas Tom van Aersbroek didn't fancy it, Sean. I think he was hoping that they would be allowed a little more leash, but after yesterday the peloton's learnt its lesson and they've given 1 minute and 20. That seems a bit mean.
Well, it is a difficult one again, and you can see why Tom van Aersbroek maybe knocked off his effort, because they're not being allowed to ride away. But I think the big thing is this final here, an uphill finish. Van Aersbroek would not like that, so he's decided to go back to the peloton. Top shape, so maybe they're just keeping their men fresh and looking after some other riders.
67 kilometres from home. Those of you who are on the Eurosport Player enjoy uninterrupted coverage, we remind you, of La Vuelta and indeed other great events that appear on the Player, and indeed our friends from down under. We're now back as an entire Eurosport family. We're just pondering our breakaway today and the fact that it's so difficult to establish. And I think after yesterday's mugging that was handed out by 3 men up the road, the time, as you can see, is just starting to expand. And the reason is that our break is diminished. And indeed, Tom van Aersbroek has decided thank you and good night. Our 2 breakaway riders who remain in the break, Jonathan Castroviejo, who could indeed take on a few tests early on. Look how slow he's suddenly going. Likewise, Benjamin Thomas. They've paced back. They went through a feed zone and they took took their feed bag and then kind of sat up and took an awful long time to put everything away. And the peloton have done exactly the same, but this does not look like a committed breakaway at the moment. And after yesterday's cat and mousing, I don't think 2 riders are capable of bringing it home, especially as everyone's now aware that they don't want to make the same mistake. So 1 minute and 44 is what they've got, and it might well be we have an easing of hostilities, Sean, after what was a very busy start to try and sort out what sort of break it was going to be, if at all.
Well, they can afford to allow this one to go out a long ways and take 6, 7, 8 minutes and pull them back in the final, because with an uphill finish and a mountain top finish here and a long climb as well, 17 kilometers of a climb, but leading up to the official start of the climb of the day, like, it just goes up all the time, and it's a real difficult terrain for a breakaway. And for a break of 2 riders, you could have 8 or 10 minutes and still it would not be enough in the end. Yesterday's stage on a flat run in, that's where it is. It's possible to do it if you have really strong riders in front and they can continue on their effort right to the end, as we see yesterday with the 3, and then it was down to 2 in the final number of kilometres. You can do that on a flat one, but on an uphill finish, it's always difficult. And unless you have maybe one of the best climbers in the peloton out front, he could maybe push it up to the peloton, but otherwise it's an impossible task. And they can see and they can leave this breakaway go, but will they leave it go? We can see they're still riding quite strong on the front.
Yep, but I think the break and the peloton at the moment are kind of matching pace just for now. In fact, they're pushing on through the many tunnels. We'll be passing by many lakes as well as we get to the high ground. Thanks to Velo Viewer. Check them out. They're absolutely fantastic service. At Velo Viewer, simple as. It tells me that Crimicar Lane, which is where I was taken from hospital, and indeed spent the first 18 years of my life. Just close to the top, just by the crest. Number 164 if you want to put a blue plaque up there. But anyway, it tells me it's been resurfaced, and if you go, you can go down at high speed. Well, I did on my Carlton Corsa. It was a violet coloured one, and on the very first day I sped off, no helmet of course. I don't know what speed I got up to, but I crossed the road in Fulwood at the bottom of the village there and headed on to Forge Dam, almost ended up in it. Braked hard to no avail, and we stopped the traffic at the bottom there. They stopped with plumes of tyre smoke, I can tell you. I got away with it. Don't know how, scared the pants off me. But anyway, it's good to know that grip levels might be better. Thanks to Velo View. Not exactly win its pass as a descent, but it has its moment. 64.5 kilometres then from home, and it's nearly up to 2 minutes. There's a bit of gamesmanship being played with those out front. They want to give them enough to believe, Sean, because it suits everybody, and particularly Movistar. They don't want to start putting fires out.
Movistar are just continuing on to keep this real strong pace, and it has to be the tactic of the day for Movistar. You know, make the race difficult all day and see what they can do in the end. They probably feel that maybe, yeah, if you give a difficult day to Yates on the flat, maybe he won't be as, you know, as fresh in the final climb of the day. And with Valverde, he probably feels that he can, you know, just get through the a rough day better and see what they can do, put him in difficulty in the end. And you know, they're going to use some of the riders, but the riders they're using for Movistar, it's not going to be a problem, because we can see there it's Viti is the one who's riding with Benatti. They're not going to be in the final anyway, so you can use them here. And those guys, like, they can ride for 40-50 kilometers and no problem whatsoever.
We've got Nico Portal for you coming up.
C'est un petit peu bizarre, c'est vrai qu'on est plus habitué à rouler pour le classement général.
It's a bit weird, to be honest, because we usually play for the GC, but since our goals with Kwiatkowski, etc., things have changed with De La Cruz as well. We're staying strong. Mikkel Kwiatkowski also trying the time trial, but there are differences out there. Speaking about today's stage, we can compare it perhaps to the Ventoux stage. It's a flat, so we've got a long approach, and then a massive change of direction. And of course, with the climb itself, which is a very long climb, about 17 kilometers long. Can the breakaway make it until the end? I've no idea. Valverde and others will be playing for the stage win, but also the GC men are going to be busy. For sure. I think we're going to focus on a stage win, and the only way to do that is to get into the breakaway, and so it's important for us to be up there, just maintain our concentration, and maybe try and get into that escape, but well, we'll wait and see how it pans out. They did try very hard, in fact, Team Sky, with firstly with Mikkel Kwiatkowski, and that looked like a break that was going to stick. In fact, we marked it up, so our papers are a bit of a mess. But yeah, Team Sky, they've had to recalibrate. I misunderstood him at the top there, but they've had to recalibrate, Sean, and it's stage victory only, I think, for Team Sky. When you look at how they're positioned in the overall, it's been a long time since we've had to look beyond the top 10 in a Grand Tour, and at 13th place you find De La Cruz, who is 9 minutes and 55 down. There's not going to be much movement there, I'm afraid, with so much at stake for the GC men today.
No, I don't think De La Cruz can move a lot. You know, maybe he can, you know, move a little bit, meaning 2 or 3 places if he does really have a good 2 days. This evening on this mountaintop finish, and tomorrow, which is the real difficult day, but that's not anything to start shouting about. I think for De La Cruz or for Team Sky, so they were trying to get the breakaway, and Kwiatkowski, of course, he tried to get into a breakaway, and he would be a one if he got to a breakaway and they had a number of minutes going into the final climb. He could be a one, could put up a big performance and hold off the main peloton, but at the moment with Jonathan Castelvecco here with 61 kilometers to go, they're not being allowed the advantage at all, and it's Movistar are just controlling here. And when you look at the final run-in, of course, with 17 kilometers to go, Saint-Julie, Deloria, there's an intermediate sprint. Maybe Valverde is thinking of that. If they can keep it close enough and it comes back together, he might start thinking about getting the intermediate sprint and picking up some time bonuses. Don't know really what the idea is. I think first of all, you know, keep the race at real high pace, and that is going to make it a difficult day again, and just you know, build the fatigue into this stage and tomorrow's stage, and maybe that's what they're trying to do with Valverde. We know Valverde, like, he can fight on difficult days. He seems to be able to recover really well, and seems like that is the tactic they're going to try in today's stage, and see what they can get out at the end of the day. And then tomorrow as well, the fix up today, you know, that could help them tomorrow also.
What's maximum points at the line, Sean, on each day? 25, I believe. Yes, in fact, it is 25. Well, I took 25 yesterday. Peter Sagan's within range. He's on 99 points, so I think he will be guided into position to make sure that he keeps alive some hopes for when we get to Madrid. Because if he's within 25 points and the GC's already decided, then Sagan, of course, will have a dig for green on the very, very last day. 60Ks, there's so much to play for, Sean. This race is wide open.
Yes, well, there's a lot of things to play for, and when you look at the green jersey classification there with Valverde leading, of course, if you ride as Movistar riding, you know, there's a combination of things you're doing. You're keeping the race real fast, you're keeping it difficult for everybody, also not leaving a big breakaway getaway. And we did see Movistar in the earlier part, you know, there was 6 and 8 plus riders trying to get into a move, and Movistar are the ones who are just riding on the front of the peloton, keeping the pace real high and not allowing a big break to get away. So there's also, I think, that green jersey classification. Valverde can pick up a lot of points here today. Tomorrow's another day, but a bit more difficult tomorrow to control it. So that could be, yes, the plan of Movistar. Get Valverde into a position where he can go for stage victory, time bonuses. He also gets points for the green jersey classification. There's so much to play for here on this stage today.
They might get greedy, is what you're saying, Sean. As simple as that.
Well, that's that is bike racing, and if we go back to last year, the green jersey in Madrid, you know, Chris Froome was winning the race, and then he makes a sprint in the final in Madrid and takes it from the man who was, you know, Trentin, who was really, you know, in control of the green jersey. It looked like from a long way out, because he was winning stages and he was riding so well, but Chris Froome, you know, just took it from him in the final line.
And Trentin was really upset about it. He said they've got to find a different way of categorising this, because you can't go on winning stuff out there every single day. I think he was looking for a bias points-wise for the sprint days and knock back some of the points that are available on the mountains. But nonetheless, yeah, Chris Froome did get greedy, and he got himself a points jersey as well as winning overall. And of course, that on the back of the Tour de France meant that when he won the Giro, he was uniquely, at least at the moment, the man who held all 3 jerseys at the same time. Two hours of racing, a 45.6. You'd think it was the opening days of a Grand Tour, Sean, not stage 19 of 21.
Yes, well, that is an amazing rate they're going on, and you know, it's a one which you can see there at the back of the peloton. There's riders really under pressure there, they're just full-on sprinting. Actually, if they lose 2-3 bike lengths, they have to make a big sprint just to get in the wheel of the rider just in front of them. And Movistar still just keeping that pace very high. 1:38 for the breakaway. It is creeping out, but this effort they're going to make here, it's going to be a real killer for them when they get later into the stage. And Movistar, definitely, they're trying to just make it a real hard day for all.
Yep. But look at the way they've been pared back from the 2-minute mark. They've got to be careful, Movistar, that they need to allow them at least some belief, albeit a very tenuous belief. Simon Morris says definitely a stage for Alejandro Valverde. Should be throwing everything but the kitchen sink at Simon Yates today. Be a proper smash fest, his words, up the Rabassa. But he then goes on to say, come on, Yatesy. Simon Morris, of course, shares the first name, and I think he wants it to be simple for Simon. Well, it's not going to be. Actually, he doesn't. He wants a big fight. So do we. We'll get it here. Welcome back. Kachekhov's just been back to the medical car. Couldn't see quite what the issue was, but there's a few with the odd bumps and bruises, and you expect that deep into the race. La Vuelta have got this spectacular animated sequence that I had a look at. Go on their site, racecenter.lavuelta.es, and you can enjoy it. It's actually better than the graphics that they're providing for on screen. I don't think this is clear enough, to be honest, but anyway, at least it shows you the vague direction where we're heading. But the pale line is the one that we still have to engage with. It could do with being the other way round, actually. A little bit of a shudder, shake of the head, but it was just the crossing of the rather poorly over-banded middle. And here we are. Well, he is having his nails done in a sort of a competitive kind of way. There we are. As you can see, he's picked up a nasty cut. Sean, if it's your hand, it's for gripping. It takes a lot of punishment throughout the day, and it looks like he's got quite a few little scuffs and cuts here. I can't see anywhere else about his person. I'm just wondering how on earth he picked it up. Was he hand down to do something to the mech, perhaps? Got mashed?
Well, difficult to know exactly what happened, but we can see there the finger there, they're trying to put the plaster and the bandage over it. Travelling at 45 kilometres an hour has proven a bit difficult for the doctor. Difficult to actually get it covered over, but where and how did he do it? Maybe he went down, and we have to see his maybe his shorts, his right hand side, or maybe he was trying to do something with the chain. Sometimes you can get your finger caught, and but whatever the case, yeah, he seemed to have a finger and a lot of blood about there.
Yeah, I couldn't see anything wrong with the rest of his kit, so I assume he's yeah, looking at him right now, it's the only part of him that's damaged. So this is Ian Boswell, by the way. So entirely somebody else. It was another rider from Katusha that was at the medical car. Sorry about that. But yeah, I couldn't see anything wrong with his kit, so I think he may well have mashed his the flesh of his finger pads in the chain. Not nice. Just over 50 kilometres to go, minute and 38. When's it going to kick off, Sean? There's a couple of little lumps. I'm actually looking at the profile in detail at the moment, and I think that as soon as we burst into the country proper, I think that's when we're going to see some action. We've still got these little villages. We came out of the built-up area, out of Lleida. It took a while. Right now, still finding some of these settlements. As you can see, some of them more beautiful than others. Usually the heart of them is spectacular, and they get uglier in concentric circles as you drift away from the epicenter, even a small town such as this. And I think a case in point is on your screen right now. But anyway, the lovely stuff's in the middle. The ugly stuff's on the outside. So very special on the inside. That's the way I like to describe myself. When people catch sight of me and go, I thought you looked like George Clooney. But no. 51 kilometres from home, sadly. We're going to take a test up the hills, and they're starting to reveal ourselves. Sean, we're still cutting through them. There's a great big lump up ahead, and you better have something left to take it on.
Yes, well, this is to Andorra. It always just goes uphill gradually for a long time, and then the final 17 kilometres is where the categorised climb kicks up, with a lot of difficult terrain. And at the moment where we are, this is the easier part. The gradient just goes slowly upwards all the time, and just over 50 kilometres to go, 104 kilometres done. This day has been a difficult one already, because let's not forget, the first part of the stage was attack after attack, just went on and on and on, and that really pulls the legs out of a lot of riders. And the guys who are suffering tired legs, well, they're going to be very tired at the back of the group here. And Movistar are keeping a real strong pace, like we've seen there, 45.9 average for the first 2 hours. That is a real killer pace at this point in a big race. What they're after being through, these riders, warm conditions, first 9 or 10 days, really unbelievable hot conditions, and all of that is just taking effect here. And that's what Movistar are doing here today, just try to grind the men they want to grind down, most will be Mitchell and Scott, and will it work out? We'll have to wait and see. And this climb to the finish here, it's going to be an interesting one. You would say for a Valverde it's a one, 17 kilometres long. The gradient is not majorly steep, and that's where he is very performant. But I think he's going to have a job with Yates here to really put him under difficulty, because he's looking good. But I suppose they're thinking, remember Giro, the end of the race, that's where he started to suffer, and that's where he broke a bit. So maybe they're thinking, if we can make it really difficult today, that will lead into tomorrow with a bit of fatigue, and then try it again tomorrow and see can they break Simon Yates, because there's not a lot of there's not a lot of opportunities today and tomorrow. You know, when you get to the final climb of the day, I think Yates is a difficult one to get rid. And you know, his brother now is coming, you know, really good as well, Adam Yates. He's going to be there on a climb like today. Adam Yates will be very important if he can just stay up there with Simon and just keep a good pace when riders attack. Don't panic. Do like Sky. We've seen the Tour of France for many years. Riders attack and just Sky keeps walking away at that same pace, maybe up it a little bit, and slowly just leave the rider out there and leave him hang out there, and then he dies and comes back to the peloton. And yeah, that's what I think Mitchell and Scott will do in the end. But this pace, will it affect, who will it affect on? That is the big question of today.
Simon Yates himself said, "I'm looking forward to going back to my adopted home, Andorra." So if you hear newspaper reports that Simon Yates has gone home, it's probably just that he's gone to do the washing up. I wonder if he'll be allowed to use his own bed. You're not supposed to. You're supposed to stay in the hotels that are apportioned to you by the race organisers, but it doesn't stop him sitting on his own couch and watching telly and then going back to his appointed bed. Be tempted, wouldn't you, Sean?
Well, I don't think he'll be thinking of doing that this evening. We're just keeping the routine which they have been doing for the past 3 weeks. And I know the two Yates brothers are living here since 2015. The roads they will know, and they said that that they know the roads very well. They know these climbs, they've trained a lot on it, and but Valverde knows them as well. You know, he's been here before, and when we came here the last time, it was Alexandro Balin won. That was in 2008. He went on to win the World Championships in Varese that year, after, you know, competing in the Vuelta and winning that stage. And Valverde was competing as well in that Vuelta that year. There's a number of other riders as well in the race who would have competed back in that time. So yeah, you know, there's pretty much equal there between the two big contenders for the win in this Vuelta.
Yes, indeed. I'm just 2015. Also, it was Joaquin Rodriguez designed the course, wasn't it? And didn't Landa have success up here? My mind is a mash. I must admit today, but nonetheless, yeah. Coral Denchamp up to Andorra. I think on that time Froome had an issue, didn't he? Didn't he take a tumble the day that Landa won? But nonetheless, Andorra la Vella, the old town. We're going to be hearing from some others. I think we may have Sepp Kuss coming up. I'd love to hear from him, actually, the young American who's looks so strong, particularly in the mountains, in support of Stephen Kruijswijk and George Bennett. A real good egg, and I'll be fascinated to see how he goes in the Worlds, actually, as a young man with an awful lot at stake and a great future in front of him. 2 minutes and 10. It's ebbed out just a little bit. Movistar just busy discussing their battle plan in the war room up front at the head of the peloton. 46.9 then from home, and sustenance on board. And they're going to start using it. Hello. Radio issues for Abbas story. You know what? Every day I run up to this, clip the top of the hurdle, and end up flat on the ground. Abarat Story. Thank you. Abarat Story gets a radio amendment. Maybe he just wanted a different channel to listen to on this day. I don't think it's going to suit him. He's a quick man. Meanwhile, Movistar keeping the pace. The time, the pace today of 45.9 was actually for the first 2 hours, not just 1 hour. It's been nuts. And we've only got 47 kilometres of the day remaining, and as you can see, it's still pitching up. This would be a wearing day at the best, Sean, but at this sort of pace, one can only imagine what they're going through out there. There's going to be a lot of tired legs and minds.
There is, and we can see in the rear of the peloton, the men were talking about Sepp Kuss from Team LL Jumbo. He's on the rear of the peloton. He has been there the past number of days, a bit more than we've seen in the earlier part of the race, but you know, he's had a great race in the beginning, and this is all about, you know, learning the experience of riding a 3-week tour. Also come away with that stamina when you ride for 3 weeks. It's going to be important to him, and you know, a lot of other riders as well in the race. Even though you're suffering, you just continue on. You really suffer big time in the difficult days, the mountain days, and you continue on, you finish the race, and that's what it is about, building your stamina to become a better 3-week race, stage race rather.
Look at the way the limestone here is cut by the rivers. It almost looks like a laser has gone through here, doesn't it? Quite dramatic. It's sort of a flat-bottomed valley here, but would count as a V shape, according to the great Dave Jackson, sadly departed. 2 minutes and 17 is the gap. We're going to hear from Sepp Kuss in a few moments' time. Meanwhile, our breakaway, I don't know, they've been given a handful of seconds, haven't they? And the cars are being called through, as you can see. They'll get into position before the final climb. Here's Sepp Kuss.
Seb, tell us a little bit about the mentality of the team going into today after the last couple.
Yeah, I think we're in a good spot still with Stevie, and I think yeah, today with the really long climb and especially tomorrow, it really favors him. So yeah, there's still a lot of hard racing to come. I mean, the last stage is going to be just. Not the last stage, but the last mountain stage is going to be just really short and intense. So I think once all those climbs kind of build on each other, he's going to be really strong in the final climb. So yeah, we'll see what we can do.
Tomorrow's absolutely brutal. Nothing's decided, obviously, yet at all. But what does it mean for today? Because there's just that last ascent.
Yeah, I think today it's going to be, yeah, probably pretty fast all day. Maybe might take a little while for the break to go, but yeah, it's going to be really hard on the bottom. I've ridden the climb before, and it's pretty steep in the beginning, and then after that it levels off. So I think we can expect some team to go really hard at the bottom and try and make a difference. So yeah, it's not gonna be easy.
Good luck today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Not going to be easy. He said it. And the man who's got to bear most, I guess, today in terms of stress surely has to be the leader, Simon Yates. He seems equal to it. He's giving very, very spiky short interviews at the moment. And when he's asked to develop a point, you can see the sigh. Oh, dear. What? Oh, all right, then. And he just chats it out and wants to get on with the job. He's had it within his grasp, Sean, a Grand Tour win, the Giro. He grasped it too hard and it broke in his hands. Today, he has to keep calm and keep in touch with Valverde.
Yes, that's what he's got to do. But you know, with Valverde, there's other ones as well which he has to be careful with in the final climb of the day. Notably, Eric Mas, who was at 122 down. Miguel Angel Lopez, who was down in 4th position at 136. If these guys start going early, well, then you cannot sit back, because you know, they could take a lot of time as well. So that is the complicated one. When you're race leader, the one who is second is going to try and attack you, notably Alexander Valverde. But then if you go down to Mas, Lopez, Kreiswick, all of those guys, you have to keep a tag on them as well. Certainly in the earlier part of the climb. If you get into the final kilometre, they cannot take too much. But in the earlier part, 5-6 kilometres in the finish, they could take a lot from you. So that's where it's going to be for Simon Yates, nervous times. But Adam Yates will be important. Jack Haig as well, if he can ride there the climb with him, well, then that will be very important that his teammates about him.
Simon Yates comes back, collects his own bottle because he wants a chit-chat. I've seen him do this a couple of times. It's at his behest to use the radio, but he'd rather collect and have a chat. Doesn't even want any lip reading going on out there. Well, he's got a job to do today. Michael Albertini will just help him get back in. Nervous times. Welcome back. Great confidence shown by Simon Yates, excuse me, with a hugely strung out peloton. And it must be covering a good couple of 100 yards, or meters. As they sail by a go-karting track here, indeed, the road to the line today will twist just about as much as that track does by the time we get there. Volker Mollema just drifting his way back in. In fact, water just being provided to everybody. There's only 39.5 kilometres to go, and the brake's actually pulled out to 2 minutes and 24, as you can see. Calm before the storm? Not sure. For many, of course, this race is a build-up to the World Championships, and there'll be some riders here who are now perhaps going into preservation mode. I'm not sure if Nairo Quintana will allow himself to do that. just for the time being. He sits there in 6th place. What is he now? 2 minutes and 11 down. Been complaining about his legs. He's just got the 2. He'd like to swap them, I think, because he says they're rather painful. So hopefully he'll get back into shape, as he's very much an essential part, Sean, of the Colombian team for the World Championship, which has been announced.
Yes, it has, and it's a real powerful lineup. You know, they have Quintana selected, Rigoberto Urán, Miguel Angel Lopez, Daniel Martinez, who is a teammate of Rigoberto Urán in Education First. We have Sergio Henao, Sebastian Henao, winner Ancona. That is a real strong one, and not only for the elite race, the under-23 as well. Sosa, the under-23 rider, who won, I think, Burgos, Vuelta Burgos this year. He's in the under-23 race, so another one who will be a danger one there. So, you know, you look at Colombian cycling with the World Championships being so difficult this year, and they're in a real healthy position.
They certainly are. They've always got, it seems, somebody coming through. Likewise, Team Sky, actually. They've decided to spread the net a little wider. And with the demise of Aqua Blue, it's thrown up some talent onto the market, and one of those, of course, Ireland's very own Eddie Dunbar. You've been able to get a price on Dunbar to win the Tour de France, or a stage of the Tour de France, for about the last 5 years through Irish bookmakers. There's been a lot of belief in this man. He's still only 22, and Team Sky have decided he's going to be theirs.
Yes, and since they've signed with Sky, the odds have dropped down big time.
Did you get him before he signed for Sky?
Oh, I've been in there for many years.
Yeah, have you now?
Yes.
There we are.
But yes, Dunbar, it's an interesting one, you know, to move into Sky. A great place, a great opportunity for him. Unfortunately for Aqua Blue, disappointing the team went, and you know, that's something that we've seen before in cycling, and something we'll see again with sponsors pulling out. But for Dunbar, you know, a perfect opportunity. He's going to be racing in, you know, Coppa Agostoni the weekend, actually, which is you know, which is a major turnabout for him, because a week or 10 days ago it looked like that he might not have any team to race with for the rest of the season, and he's been going well. He was 8th overall in the Tour de l'Avenir. He was 8th in the Tour of Yorkshire, if I remember, as well, around that. So he's had a good season. Last year he did have a crash in the Baby Giro, of course, and concussion put him out for the end of season. So it's going to be nice for him. He can race, get to know the riders as well, get to know the personnel the next couple of weeks, months, what's left of the season before he kick off the new season next year with Team Sky. And I think it's a great move for him that he's got a place there.
Fantastic. There is the kick up at the end. What about Jonas Aguirre? We're talking about those in the GC. And in fact, he was really quite close at hand. At the moment, he sits in front of Rigoberto Urán and Thibaut Pinot and Tony Galopin, overall in 7th place. But he is, 4 minutes and 9 seconds down, sitting just behind Quintana. What's left?
Con el juego del gato y el ratón entre la
Today, with the cat and mouse chase that's going on with Mickelson, Scott and Movistar, maybe you could play a few cards. What do you think?
Sí, pero bueno, seguro que se subirá a tope desde abajo y será difícil ya aguantar el ritmo y bueno.
Well, it's going to be a very tough climb. It's going to be difficult to handle the pace. We'll see how things go, he says, in the last kilometres for the GC. All we can do is try and do the best that we can. Is it a road that you know well, this last climb? Yeah, I've done it a few years training. I know it well. It's hard. The end is quite difficult, especially as it's high. It goes as high as 2,000 metres. Especially the first couple of kilometres are going to be a challenge, because they are between 12 and 13%. In fact, it's only about the first kilometre, and then you hit a step. Only will feel flat, just over 1%, and then it kicks to 10. And it really doesn't average. The average is an accurate one, about 6.6 all the way. It's reasonably steady, save for the fact that you've got a lot of switchbacks, Sean. It's almost a laissez, this, as we take our way up to Col de la Rabassa, our finishing line. But who will be Lachey? Laurens de Plus has just abandoned, Sean. That's a shame.
Yes, it is. And again, we have seen the last number of days some riders looking to be riding well of recent a number of days ago, and then suddenly just getting sick. Yesterday we lost a rider from was it Sunweb?
Simon Geske, yeah.
Yes, and he was riding quite well. And you see him there. He was in the race quite a lot. But so yeah, Laurens de Plus, it's a one which Quick Step they will miss him because he's the climber. With Eric Mas, he could be important as well. And we did see on one of the climbs last week, Laurens de Plus was vital to Eric Mas because he was suffering a bit in the earlier part of the climb, and he kept him in contact. So yes, we're into that point of the race where riders are starting to suffer, as we can see. They're giving the suffering to a lot of riders here in the peloton.
They're handing it out, and Movistar have decided hammer blows are the order of the day, and they've suddenly changed the pace. And just as we come out from this screen, this is local knowledge, just in case they have decided that this race needs softening up just a little bit, or even quite a lot. Look at the gap that they've managed to pull out here, and we've got riders now, potentially some of them, starting to fatigue. One of them is not Simon Yates, but it's all kicking off out front. And all of a sudden, it gets very, very busy, Sean, with 34 kilometres to go. And this gap to the breakaway is going to tumble. It was 2.5 minutes not that long ago, or approaching that. And now it's under 2. And frankly, the race is already on to get to the foot. Now, the foot of this climb is at 17 k's out. There's an intermediate sprint just before that, about a kilometre or 1,700 metres beforehand. They want to go at full chat. So this is about more than just putting Simon Yates, putting the hurt on him. Danish champion also coming up to add to the impetus here. I think Michael Morkel has found himself embedded within this. But what of the pressure that's being heaped here on Mitchelton Scott? And is there a catch? Is there a gap here back to the red jersey? Yes, there is. And this, Sean, is where the devilment begins. And Bora Hansgrohe also equally spirited here. That's a gift, I think, to those who are caught a little bit further behind. Let's having a look at this group right now. So the green jersey has called for action. It's all over the road at the moment, Sean, and this is absolutely fascinating.
Yes, it is, and we can see there Bora Hansgrohe closing it down here. You could see Peter Sagan there just a moment ago. He was the one who really pushed on and looked like he was giving out to his teammates. This is the moment to close this one down because it is getting dangerous, but we can see it's causing problems here. Lots of gaps starting to appear.
There's the red jersey.
But it's all back in one line, but this is going to continue now with 33 kilometres to go. Movistar, they've set out to do this all day, and they're just going to continue on. And you can see there, it's really putting a lot of riders in difficulty.
Certainly is. Peter Sagan's back here. He's out of position, but he's called for his Bora team to instigate a little bit of pressure. These are the guys who've been dropped off the back, and Naporo Bokomoloma is one of those that has suffered. Let's race on then and catch the back of it with 32.7 kilometres of the day remaining. Clouds starting to gather, but it has lightning struck here. Hopefully not twice in a bad way for Simon Yates. He's been back to the cars himself, don't forget. That was Stephen Cummings, who's got caught off the back again, but he's trying to push back in. Regathering, Sean, but it's the first of several rounds of this punch-up. And here you can see teams just trying to get themselves back and into position. Interesting as well that Peter Sagan worked, just got caught out, but Bora, he asked them to continue on, believing that he could get back in, and indeed he has done. But this shows that Bora are going to be trying to mark out Movistar in order, Sean, to tee up Sagan to keep alive his hopes of the green jersey in this competition. For that, we're grateful. There's more battles than just for red, although that remains our main focus today.
Yes, well, I think that is going to be a battle, but the general classification, Bookman is still in there at 11th place, and I think you could see that the team are going to want to keep him there, and if he puts up a good performance over the next 2 mountain days, he could move up in the general classification. So I think that's what's on the top of their minds of Bora Hansgrohe, just to keep Bookman in there and leave him have a Leave him have a battle on the final mountain with the other general classification men.
Big drive then, and called for by the man in the green jersey. There he is, Alejandro Valverde, just tucked in. The Norwegian champion Langen just rolls through. Wonder if they're trying to tee up Fabio Aru, who remains on the bike despite a heavy tumble the other day, which almost ripped the seat out of his shorts. It's pacey. Valverde's getting him. Viviani, I beg your pardon, is getting himself up and into position as well. Just coming up the outside. Tunison and Valchide. I wonder if green jersey points are indeed within that competition. You want to be as high up as you possibly can be, and I think they're potentially looking for something here. Let's wait and see. More than that, however, is once we've dealt with the sprint. And the intermediate sprint will be upon us in the short order, once I can sort my notes out. It comes at 17.7 kilometres from home, and then we have just 700 metres before we take the turn, and immediately we're slap bang into the climb. So we have Juan Antonio went up training at altitude, and I understand it was in Andorra. We'll wait to hear from him in a few moments' time. It's been a long time coming, that interview, with everything happening here. 30.8 kilometres as the terrain rolls, and the dice likewise from Movistar. There's De Gent, not going to be his day today. I imagine he'll probably squirrel off early tomorrow. An absolute dead cert for him to be in the breakaway, at least for the first couple of mountains. We will see of what is a shark's tooth profile tomorrow. Real nightmare on the cards for those who are suffering. If you're going to have a tough time today, then just wait till tomorrow with 3 category 1 climbs and a special climb on top of that. The others are categories 2 and 3. So what have we got? 6 climbs tomorrow. These guys, gosh, 2.6 taking a hit. A minute and 26 is their gap, with 30.4 kilometres of the day remaining, and indeed that intermediate sprint that's going to be our springboard for action in a short while. Here's the one and only
Over 50 professional cyclists currently live in Andorra. They moved to the country to improve their climbing skills and altitude training. Nonetheless, in Europe, it was in the French village of Font-Romeu, which is about 50 kilometers away from Andorra, where methods of altitude training were first put into practice. Back in 1967, the National Altitude Center was built, with Olympic Games in Mexico in mind. Since then, many athletes come year after year to build their dreams and train for them. I started coming to this area back when I was a junior cyclist, and since then I kept coming as well and training every year. I also had the chance of meeting other champions like Kilian Jornet, even Paula Radcliffe. Today, the Vuelta gets back to altitude in Andorra. And most importantly, we're going to be focused on having a look and understanding how cyclists will cope with the altitude, because since the first week, they never go back to that training and racing conditions. In theory, Colombian riders, more particularly Miguel Angel Lopez, will have a clear advantage today.
Well, Antonio, he knows that riders live here. They altitude training, it also exercises their bank account in a very pleasant way, of course. They have a different tax regime, which indeed does help. That's why they don't live down here and they live up there. Where we are heading, 28.2 kilometres to go. And more than that, the pace here has been almost as a constant. It was interesting where Movistar attacked there, Sean. It was actually coming out from the protection of a big valley into open space. And a little twist in the road, and all of a sudden they just decided to put the hammer down. You can see the damage it caused, and that's the first salvo only today.
Yes, well, that just builds the tension, make everybody nervous, and if you get an opportunity like that where it does open up a bit, the wind is a little bit from the side, you just push it on that bit extra, and we did see the damage it was doing. There were splits starting to appear in the peloton everywhere, and you imagine if that went on for 10 or 15 kilometres where they were on open countryside, well, then there would be big gaps between them, but it's all pretty much back together. But no, that will just build the tension, make everybody more nervous as we get inside the final 30 kilometres at this stage.
Yeah, we're going to take ourselves a brief commercial break. These guys, I'm afraid, look like they are spent today. A minute and 21. Mind you, we said that a couple of times yesterday. We'll take that break. Back in a moment. Welcome back. Well, for sacrificial lambs, they're kicking it. They're still giving it a good old go, holding a minute and 20 with 25 kilometres remaining. The trouble is for them, the last 17 kilometres are an absolute nightmare. Simon Yates must have had a wake-up call, Sean, after it started to split out there with the pace imposed by Movistar. It got loud. It'll go loud again for sure after this sprint that's coming up.
Well, it's guaranteed it's going to go loud on this climb to Rabassa, and you know, there is there's distance there, 17 kilometres, and the kick into the climb is a really difficult one, 13% in the first bit, and that's where, you know, if there's a team who just sprint into the bottom of the climb, that makes it so difficult. You do not get a chance to get into a rhythm. It does ease off then, where it does almost go flat for a little point, and then it kicks up to 10%, 8.5%, 7%, you know, and all the way up it's to about halfway point. It's a very high gradient, and you know, if the pace is real high, and that is always the killer on a climb, if there's somebody driving it on, and yeah, with Movistar, the way they have been, you know, riding here today, they're going to do something on the climb as well. And if you look at Quintana in the general classification, you know, he's 6th place in general classification. That's not any good to Quintana or to Movistar. I think they're going to try everything, you know, with Valverde to make it difficult. And you know, if Quintana attacks him a long ways out, well, there's somebody going to have to chase him. And I think the men who are in front of him will, like Kreisweg, Lopez, and that will just make the climb and the race really difficult for all.
Going to be hearing from Thibaut Pinot in a short while. Took a spectacular stage win on the Covadonga. In fact, he was delighted by that, because career-wise it meant the 1A stage in each of the great Grand Tours. Here's the high ground we're starting to approach right now, and in fact we're going to be at our intermediate sprint. And the reason we're talking that up today is because Valverde is interested in points, so is Peter Sagan, so it should be a proper sprint. And I think with only 700 metres before we get to the climb, Movistar will just push on. It may well be that it starts to get very, very hairy very, very quickly. Let's wait and see. Hearing from Thibaut Pinot in a few moments about his ambitions potentially for the day. I'm not quite sure how much he's prepared to give away, quite frankly, but I guess we're going to find out. A man who could probably say job done so far, but positions overall become ever more important the closer you get to the end of the race. 50-odd kilometres per hour, and it is odd that this that hasn't really dropped below 46 and 45 for much of the day, no matter what terrain they've been going over. It's been remarkable. Here's Pinot.
Thierry Bricot nous disait ce matin que cette étape ressemblait à la dernière montée au lac de Covadonga.
Thierry Bricot told us this morning that this climb looks a bit like the Covadonga, so it should suit you well. Yeah, I've got good legs, just like last week. So last week we had many climbs in a row. So this week, well, today this one is pretty flat. I'll give it a go and maybe see what I can do today. Today's strategy, hide and then counter-attack. Yeah, the battle for the GC. There's only 25 seconds separating Yates and Valverde. Lopez is going to be battling for the podium against Mas, so it may be as those guys do battle. And he says, I can give it a go, and why not? Give it a go for sure. 5.5 minutes down, Pinot. You'll certainly be allowed a little bit of flexibility. In front of Pinot, however, he's got he may well trouble the likes of Rigoberto Urán, and Jon Izagirre will want to push on. Quintana, I think, is going to be held for super domestic duties on behalf of Valverde today, but again, you never know how the battle plans may well work out. The first blows have been issued by Movistar, but look at the pace and the chase that we're looking at right now out there. Looked like Garcia was still very much in touch for Bahrain Merida, but expect Jon Izagirre to, I think, have a dig today as well. He's solidly within the top 10. He doesn't want that to be shaken, and indeed that means he cannot really start easing up too much, because there's a lot of riders very close to him. He's on 4 minutes and 9 down. Rigoberto Urán's 4 minutes 36. Then comes Pinot, and if it's a Pinot kind of day today, it might be a black day for Jon Izagirre, so got to take care. Meanwhile, these guys, as we head into Andorra, and indeed, is that the customs post? Are they just going to let them straight through, Sean, today? Do you think they'll be stopping to buy some scotch?
No passport needed. It's going to be difficult to stop these guys, and you know, they're putting up a strong ride here on this stage today, but the problem is with a mountaintop finish, it's an impossible task with 1:10 in front. If you had if you had a flat run in Castelvecchio, you know, a super time trialist, and the rider who was with him, you know, he's doing a real strong ride. Benjamin Thomas, he's equal with Castelvecchio for the moment, and you know, they're still keeping the peloton at bay. Considering, you know, the peloton has been riding at a fast pace, then they did up it a bit when they got their open terrain for a section with Movistar, and they're holding on well, but yeah, when you do a ride like that, you'd be hoping you get something more of the day, but for the two guys in front, it's not going to happen at all today.
They've sent the peloton on a slightly different route around the booths. I think that's possibly because of the little hiccup that you saw them knock into. We've got Dan Martin tweeting from back home. Has there been any news on the imminent arrival of the twins?
Haven't heard anything that passed.
Maybe that's what the tweet's about. Not sure what it is at the moment. Looking at the rear of the peloton, and there's Kwiatkowski, I thought was going to have a dig today, but not to be. He tried, Sean, to get in the break, but he had the spirit of that brake snapped. Oh, here are those booths. Now, it got a bit sketchy a few moments ago. Take care, everybody. It's a big old funnel, isn't it? And you saw that some of the car ramps there, just at the place where you show your passport.
No, it's the passport.
Not very
European
forgiving.
and non-European.
Well, unfortunately, from next spring, we sort of
get into that.
Feel less European. But anyway, that's for another day. I'm still wondering whether my Irish granny can do me a favour from the other side.
Worth a try.
Yeah, it's worth a try. Andorra, here we are. Those are barrels of something, probably boozy. It is renowned for its duty-free here, and that's about it. It's not the prettiest place. I'm given to giving Andorra kicking every time we come here. I just think it's like a big shopping centre, and why would you? But anyway, it has its advantages. Altitude for training, and a tax regime which favours the wealthy, I think. So not for me. Dan, what have you got for us? Obviously no mention of his new arrivals yet, so we still wait for that. Last 2 kilometres on Vurabasa, a lot harder than the profile suggests. Flat section, 6 to 400 to go, and then a final kick of 8 to 10%. Add to the altitude and maybe some small gaps. Well, thanks, Dan. He knows his onions, Sean, especially around here. He is a proper resident.
Yes, he is, and he knows this climb. I think he uses it a lot for training, and yeah, the other riders here as well, I think they would have been over a number of times, and it is going to be a difficult one. When you hear that percentage, you know, very close to the line, well, it will cause gaps between some of the general classification men.
Yep, the road book yet again found wanting. Just about 20 k's to go. We've got this intermediate sprint approaching right now. What are we, 1,800 meters to go, and here's the pickup now. Here is Bora kicking into it as well. This is to tee up Peter Sagan. There we have Movistar as well, with Valverde also driving into it. This is going to be a hairy one. Intermediate sprint rolled through by the breakaway, and so the last points, the handful of them, were much diminished. But right now, we've got 13%. Slams you straight in the face. This is the climb. Well, Sean, this goes on for around about a kilometre. You know you're in trouble if you've been having any doubts before you get to this point. What can Movistar do? Grab it by the scruff of the neck. The break has been dealt with. It's time to go.
Yes, it is time to go, and we can see it's still Movistar after that run to the intermediate sprint point, and we could see there that Valverde was looking up there, and be interesting to see who got the third place. But we could see from Michelin Scott, they looked like they had Mezgec up there to have a go for the sprint and take that bonus from Valverde. But we can see here Movistar now with Winner Ancona on the front here, and he's just going to keep this pace real high. Quintana very much in the fore of things here for the moment as we go on this real difficult section to start off the climb, the long climb to the finish here, and we can see the way the peloton has just blown to pieces already.
There we go. It has big gaps. Thankfully, this time, Simon Yates not caught behind one. And it's Quintana who's gone into super domestic duties on the front, helping with the drive. Right now, you can see also Team Lotto Jumbo in their yellow and black. They're working for Steven Kruijswijk. Now, the pace is slow at the moment. It will slowly pick up, Sean, and then we might have something of an uphill sprint, albeit going on for an awful long time. 13% and more we're dealing with right now, and there's a kicker at the end, as you've heard from Dan Martin, of 10%. Says 10 on your screen for these guys, but there's virtually no easement at all, Sean. It's a hellish incline, this one.
Yes, it is, and we can see the damage it's causing already. You know, a lot of real good climbers there. Pierre Roland in difficulty. We can see Anton also just getting shelled out the rear of the main peloton here, and we can see there Movistar are definitely have big intentions on today's stage, and how much damage will Winner Ancona be able to do here? How long can he stay on the front? We can see there, you know, it's causing major problems. Looks like that all the general classification men are in contention for the moment, but with this pace, still with over 16 kilometers to go, if they can continue on driving, well, then it's definitely going to break somebody.
Certainly is. Cracks have already appeared in Nairo Quintana, of course, I'm afraid, on the high ground. There is Simon Yates mixing it up with Team Lotto Jumbo. It's almost as if he leads his own team on occasions such as this. He's got to be careful, Sean. He doesn't go chomping out the bit. Here comes his brother Adam just sailing up with the lime green shoulders, and indeed a couple of his teammates out of position because he just wanted to be with Movistar at the pointy end. And seeing his presence, or knowing that that was happening, Quintana's just backed in as well to save his resources, presumably for a little later on in this climb. This climb defines the day, and it might just define La Vuelta.
Yes, well, could very well do that, and you know, there's a long way to go. 16 kilometers on a climb like this, it can cause a lot of problems, and it depends on how our riders are feeling as well. You know, the general classification, we can see there's a lot of riders being blown out the rear. Sagan here losing contact, not surprising. They're all going to just get up at their own pace here. But in the overall standings, there some men who are starting to feel the difficulty already. And if you're in that position, well, then it's going to be a difficult one. So it's all about feeling at the moment, and for the moment, all the general classification men looks to be pretty much in this leading group.
Yes, they are. Some at strength. I've had my own worries, Sean, about Mitchelton Scott and their ability to look after Simon Yates. They've stood up to the test so far. This is today and tomorrow will, of course, be the ultimate ones and define who takes the jersey. Clearly, Movistar believe that Alejandro Valverde has got his destiny in his own hands, and it's up to Simon Yates to withstand the punishment, of which they've been dishing out plenty already today, despite the fact we've got 15.7 kilometres of hell remaining.
Yes, well, they certainly have been dishing out a lot of punishment, and the way the stage started out this morning, it made it difficult for everybody, and Movistar have just continued on, as you can see here. They're still doing it, but a lot of the teams appearing here, and we can see a lot of the men who are capable of, you know, doing something on this climb, maybe win the stage. We can see Thibaut Pinot there having a look out, and at this point, 15 kilometers to go, I think they're just going to leave Movistar set this pace and see how long they can last doing it.
Let's see how they sustain it. Yeah, exactly. It may well be that you get a steal. You never know. Remember what Tony Galopin did and Alexander Geniez in AG Tour La Mondiale. They're represented here, but I think it will be the major players for the title. Gorka Izagirre. No backup from him for the remainder of today for his brother Jon, who's going to have to do it on his own. And there are some strugglers, are there not? And you'd expect that with the pace that they've attacked coming in to today. We haven't dropped really below 46 kilometers an hour. 45.9 it is just an absolutely remarkable and punishing pace. Simon Yates there in the red jersey, left-hand side of your screen. Opposite side of the road to him, Nero Quintana, Hove's interview. Freyle's here. He's the big man from Astana. He'll be working for Miguel Angel Lopez on this ascent. And that's Martin Tusveld, one of those who's been shelled out of the back. Sepp Kuss, who's done so much great work as well, as number 135 there. Just also off the back, the young American, we spoke to him earlier on. A little bit of a handover here for Itzura of the Euskadi Basque Country, who's just losing contact, sailing by some of the vineyards and the spectacularly expensive looking villas that you get with these great vistas. You always want to buy one in the sunshine. Maybe you don't on hot days, who knows? But here we are. This is where you have to start thinking if you're going to do something individually, and Thibaut Pinot is doing exactly that. He doesn't want to be around anybody else, Sean. He wants to give himself a clear view of what's on his prospect. Picks up a gel attached to his bottle, doesn't need it, rips it off with his teeth and drops it to the ground. Water only for that man. Let's see whether it turns to wine for him at the top today. Interesting to see yet again Vincenzo Nibali tucked in here. I was looking for Izagirre, but it's Nibali that catches the eye from Bahrain Merida with the black and red. So many teams are that, but with the golden helmets nonetheless. And it's Luis Mas who gets out of the saddle and plonks back in, while Movistar continue to pace, and it is Lotto Jumbo in the yellow and black just tucked in with Simon Yates still not headed by a teammate, Sean. He's prepared to do an awful lot of work, Simon Yates, on his own accord.
Well, I think here he's just going to sit on the pace setters, and that is notably Movistar and winner Ancona, and just leave him do it. But he has teammates behind him there. I could see a Michelin Scott jersey. It looks like Jack Haig looked to be a taller rider, and leave them work away. And this is just a perfect situation. If you're feeling good here and you're under no pressure at all, well then leave the other teams think that causing problems, and leave them burn their men out slowly, and still just under 14.5 kilometers to go. There's a lot of time and a lot more to be done on this final climb to the finish here.
Rigoberto Urán is just getting himself into position. That's Simon Clark, who's part of an early breakaway attempt earlier on today. Not to be for Clarky, but he's got himself a stage win, of course, spectacularly so. We love seeing him on stage 5. Breakaway success to Roquetas. Seems a long time ago now, doesn't it? Rafa Majka sits in 14th place overall. Would love to get himself a stage win. In fact, Bora haven't got one yet, Peter Sagan's efforts notwithstanding. And here we are. Simon Yates just drifts to the side of the road. Is he going to take himself a bottle, or is he just looking to see where his teammates are? He wants to know who's here, Sean. Simple as that. Taking a big eyeball of everyone around him.
Yes, well, he's doing a count that as many is left in this leading group. I think just to have a look to see where the other general contenders are, and maybe to get a little bit further back as well. When you're very close to the front here, as we see him in about third or fourth position, we can see Lotto El Jumbo here, very much to the front. George Bennett here just in front of Kreiswijk, and there's another teammate there, looks like Lindemann. Just there. So 3 from El Jumbo. We can see Tony Galopin is also there. So Yates looked like he's just slipped back a bit, and to see where maybe his teammates and the other danger men on this final mountain.
Vincenzo Nibali gave it a big roll out of a quality break a couple of days ago, and he is now done for the day. So it is Jon Izagirre that I believe will be remaindered out front for them, but he's going to do it on his own. In fact, yes, he is within this group. Still more pace being called for, and action by Movistar, and this is putting hurt on just about everybody, but it's sustained very well by Valverde. William Anacona, he's part of the Colombian team that will be going to the World Championships, and with some rises and falls there as well on the course. It does suit the climbers, and I'm hoping that Vincenzo Nibali makes a good of a account of himself for the Italian team. We shall see. Gianni Moscon, by the way, is included by David Cassani, the chief of Italian cycling. Meanwhile, right now, Lotto Jumbo impose themselves, and indeed the action of Simon Yates of drifting out has drawn up his teammates, Sean, a couple of them, some struggling to stay involved, but as you can see, Adam Yates is in there just behind the form of Rafa Micah, who's busy having a chit chat out there. Micah losing out to Oscar Rodriguez on the day of Camperona, when really he should have taken it. Maybe he is the man to make amends today. It's a good bet, Sean, not dissimilar in terms of incline.
Well, yes, Mike is a one. If he's on a good day, this sort of finish would be a one could suit him, and he looks okay there for the moment, as we see. And Winner Ancona here just slipping off after doing his pace setting on the front, and now it's Team Sunweb. Team Lotto Jumbo, sorry, setting the pace with George Bennett on the front here, and I think for Kreiswijk, that's what he needs. He just needs a real strong pace, but a strong one all the time. That sudden accelerations, the attacks of the climbers, notably Quintana, Pino, those guys, they're very explosive. He doesn't like that, and he's putting a man on the front here, notably Bennett, just to keep the pace real high as we go just over 13 kilometers still to go.
Indeed. Simon Yates is staying on the back wheel of Noah Quintana at the moment. The green jersey of Valverde just tucked in behind Jon Izagirre. Behind Valverde is the Bleu, Blanc et Rouge of Groupama, Francis Ségur and Thibaut Pinot. And there, this line of talent, as you look beyond the red jersey and the gold helmet further down of the Bahraini rider Jon Izagirre, you see Adam Yates not that far in arrears just for the time being. And the bouncing form of Fabio Aru, I think, is also up here, back from taking a huge tumble the other day. He must have had an uncomfortable night, and as the road just turns there, giving us a further view, you can see that Rigoberto Urán is also very much involved, and Ilnur Zakarin never looks comfortable, doesn't sustain heat very well, and indeed out of the saddle here with his jersey unzipped. I don't know what to think of Zakarin. He's just it's not been the best of show for him, and things look like they're not going well either for De La Cruz at the back of this group for Team Sky. He's not in the place where you'd expect him to be potentially, but we shall see. No surprise to see them suffering, Sean. It's been a long old race, and here we go. Quintana issues the first softening up blow, and he's gone. Now this is a bridging point for Valverde, let's not forget, unless he was unless they don't if they don't give him enough respect, he'll go on there and help himself, I'm sure, to some time. I can't believe that Valverde, after calling for such pace throughout the day, is not going to use his man, and Quintana has gone up the road, Sean. It's part of the battle plan. Will it succeed?
Well, we can see there Lotto Jumbo reacting immediately. George Bennett just followed on there with Kreiswijk, and Bennett takes it over from Quintana almost immediately and just continues on that pace setting here. And yes, it's going to be an interesting one now. Will Quintana just start to attacking again? And this is causing problems. We can see, some of the riders here starting to lose contact, notably number 141 there from Sky.
So Bennett and Kreiswijk kick into this mountain, and they're dragging Quintana away from everybody else. Simon Yates checks over his shoulder, see who's around him, wondering, one suspects, as to Valverde, naturally enough, but he's being forced to push on. Here's Aru, who unfortunately for him just disengaged. Edward Rabazzi was supposed to be looking after him, but Aru's taken a slam dunk. As you know, a body slam, I should say. No basket involved, except the waste paper basket for his kit at the end of that day. Here they go then, two from Lotto Jumbo, Kreiswijk and Bennett, and indeed Quintana just hugging in to the rail here, taking the shortest way through. As we look further back, and still the guide goes on just for now. A great dance being led. in pursuit, and it's Mitchelton Scott that are being forced to work, and you can see the big frame of Freire there is trying to make a move on behalf of Miguel Angel Lopez, who is tucked in to this group. Lopez is nursing the combined jersey, so it appears to be a white jersey, not a Young Riders jersey. Nonetheless, had it been a Young Riders competition, he'd have been wearing it anyway. But there you go. So Quintana just tucks in now. Can Lotto Jumbo get a famous one? This would be fantastic, and potential here for Kruijswijk, Sean, who sits 1:48 down. And I guess this is a battle between himself and Quintana. Could it be a private one? I think Quintana's got another role today, nonetheless.
Yes, well, it looks like that George Bennett finished there, and Kruijswijk just takes it up with Quintana on toe. And you know, the general classification, Kruijswijk is just ahead of Quintana, and that's the reason they marked him very quickly. We can see De La Cruz here starting to lose contact as well, and that open pace by Lotto and El Jumbo has caused the problems. Naru also was another one who lost ground here, and we can see he's starting to line out.
11.9 kilometres then remaining of today. It's going to be a big old grind. Oh, and that doesn't look comfortable for Alessandro De Marchi. It looked like he was balking there. I think clearly struggling and not in a happy place. They pass under the Vamos sign from Named Sport here. I do quite like it, I must admit. You know you're close at hand. And let's give one to this man as well. Sean picked himself up off the deck. You can see the gauze that's still displayed underneath him. He took a hell of a slam, and he's riding himself back in, I think, probably casting his mind further up the road to the Worlds. Meanwhile, as we dwell on this, Kruijswijk and Quintana, it's Pinot that's coming over to them, and they've let him go. Now, Pinot, if he's got the legs back, can deliver today. Just for fun, you might say. Well, he did that on Covadonga spectacularly, so he's still screened by this pair, and this is a proper move by Pinot. If he's got what it takes, is he going to go straight by them, or is he going to rest up and then go again, Sean?
Well, I think he will just maybe stay for a moment, and it's still 11 kilometres a long way out, and we remember last Sunday when Pinot won on Lagos de Covadonga, he hit off at 6 kilometres out. He is a one which is further down the general classification, but I think if he puts in a big attack, well, then Kruijswijk maybe not able to match it, but we can see Kruijswijk is the one who wants to push on, and he just likes that, you know, just go from far out, keep on grinding away at it and keep on working away at it. But Quintana, he's just sitting on the wheel for the moment.
Well, almost as we say, he decides to do some work here, and oh, big move, and this is I don't know whether this is a shakeout, not certainly of Pinot. I don't think they're going to be overly worried about him, but the incline, he wants to maintain a rhythm, and so Steven Kruijswijk gets out of the saddle, and Quintana just matches his pace, just still taking a little bit too much wind, which Quintana's given to doing. He prefers vision, it seems, sometimes. I don't know, maybe worried about the motorcycle, or maybe he was using the motorcycle draft, who knows. But Pinot just tags on to the back of them, making a formidable trio up the road. Still no response, and one being called for. The pressure here, it's a gamble, I guess you might say, by Valverde. Will they take the bait? Well, Pinot's done exactly that, and could it be a free ride if they get along with him? Quintana stays with it, but the man who looks likely to stay with Pinot, the most likely of all, is Steven Kruijswijk. Pinot plonks back down in his saddle with that rangy style of his. It's almost as if he's stamping on the pedals as opposed to finessing it. It can get ugly, but then again, whatever suits you, going up the inclines that we've got to deal with today. 10.9 kilometres remaining. It does ease, by the way, soon. It comes down after the next turn to about 5.5% for 2 kilometres, and indeed they'll be out of sight potentially on some of the twists and turns here, as you can see, just beyond where the trees have been harvested back. There is Trevor One of Rigoberto Urán, and also bouncing on the pedals, Danny Moreno, teammate of Pinot, also lodged in here, but I don't think Pinot needs him at the moment. Looks like he's in the mood to help himself, as Kruijswijk just looks over his shoulder and says, come on, if you want to play this game, then at least dance. Indeed, out of the saddle, that's precisely what happens as Pinot picks up yet again. Quintana's doing a good job here. it's about the first time we've seen him going aggressive, Sean. He's not had the legs to do it, but he's doing it today on behalf of somebody else.
Yes, well, that's what they're going to try and do. You know, put Quintana out in front and see what will happen with the chase just back with Simon Yates. And we can see it's Jack Haig is still setting the pace, and he's the only one, but Adam Yates is still there in that group, and you know, they're all just waiting here. As we can see, Haig pulls off.
Oh, there's others coming up to join the party, and I think Mass is just moving through and looking very sprightly in the blue and white of Quick Step here. Thought there was some suffering going on with Alessandro De Marchi, and indeed I think his tummy evacuated itself. Manny Bookman suffering as well. Likewise, Zakharin in the bin for Zakharin, I'm afraid, today. And here we go around this curve. Time to hit out. Here we go. I think they've attacked off the front, Sean.
Yes, it looks like Yates have attacked off the front there when Jack Haig pulled over. Simon Yates just went off the front, and here he is with 25 metres of ahead of this group of favourites.
What a brave move from Simon Yates. He's been looking for teammates around him, and right now he's going to bridge over to Quintana and say, see what I did there? Beat that. Well, they're going to give it their best shot. What's Valverde got in response here? Big move from Simon Yates. At what cost later as we get higher up this incline? 10 kilometres to go. But you've got to hand it to him, Sean. He's showing some class, and he's showing what resources he's preserved during this race. They're on display now.
Yes, well, surprising to see him maybe go at this point. We're still 10 kilometres out, because the riders we have here, notably Pino, Kreiswick, Quintana, I'm not sure will they ride, and Quintana's definitely not going to ride. He's going to sit on here, and you know, we could see that Jack Haig was finished after doing a lot of pulling on the front, but you would have expected Simon Yates just to wait for Adam Yates or wait for some of the other riders as well, see who else is prepared to chase, bluff it a little bit for a time, and you know, with 10 kilometres to go, it's a long way out. But if you're feeling real good, well then, if you're really on fire, well then just have a go. And he is on fire at the moment. The way he went across the three guys there, he closed down that 10-11 seconds rapidly.
Gelderman also just pushing on, but I'm afraid Zakharin, what postscript at the end of this race for him? We shall wait and see. As we look down at this group, Rigoberto Urán just second from last of this line. Also involved is Wilco Kelderman in the black and white of Team Sunweb. Indeed, Valverde now has called for a little bit of pace. He doesn't want to lose any seconds to Simon Yates, who looks like he's in extraordinary form as we get deeper into this race. And look at it, Sean. He's leading everyone up this incline. This shows a man who's displaying some confidence here, and he's putting the hurt on Quintana. This is magnificent.
Yes, he is really pushing on here, and you know, we could see immediately when he came across to the three were out in front, he took the place in the front immediately, and you know, didn't hang around at all. And now he's the one who's pushing on here with 9 kilometres to go. We can see it's Movistar have to chase once again, and Valverde not reacting. That is not a good sign, because normally when Yates go, Valverde should have reacted immediately, as he had Quintana up the road.
Bilbao just tucked in here as well. There is Quintana. Now, what's Valverde got later in this climb? I'm just wondering whether he's going to try and turn it into a sprint when it flattens out, and it does so around about the 7 kilometres to go marker. They've got a kick before then. Here is Adam Yates keeping an eye on Valverde. Now, he'll be following in there, I'm afraid, is Jon Izagirre. It's not been a stellar performance from him. It's been one of his best in a Grand Tour, and I guess he had the gift of full team support. But when he was out there to be counted, I'm afraid it counted against him, the performance this time, and he's going to lose a lot more time and may well tumble down the order, Sean. A top 10, I think, is going to be his best.
Yes, well, he is in danger now, because we have Pino, who is further down the general classification. Izagirre in 7th place. We have Urán also, Tony Galopan.
Done. Quintana is a spent force. So what's the reaction? It has to be from Valverde. Has he got anything left? There is Enric Mas as well, weaving across the road, trying to put the force Valverde to come through and chase, and Valverde can't pick it up. Whoa, Simon Yates, there's the gap. There in no man's land at the moment is Quintana. I don't think he's waiting up for Valverde, or maybe he is. Maybe that's precisely what it is. Maybe he's not spent, but is trying to offer up something to Valverde, who appears to be flagging. After all the effort they've put in from this entire race, Valverde knows if he goes, he's going to be followed by Adam Yates, who gets a free ride and could then help out his brother Simon. What a conundrum. How to unpick this one, Sean? It's all being laid bare on the mountain, but bare steel at the moment is in the hands, it seems, of that man, Simon Yates. What a performance.
Yes, well, he's performed real well for the moment. Still 8 kilometres to go, let's not forget. And we can see there's, you know, they're just marking each other. Who's going to do the chasing here? And they can see them out front. And Quintana, I think, he was ordered to wait up. And we did see the last rider there, Richard Carapaz, who was pulling for Movistar, but he's gone. And looks like Quintana was pulled back for Valverde, but they're just looking at each other here, and everybody looking around. Nobody want to take up the chase here behind the 3 men out front.
Well, Kruijswijk's going to start thinking, of course, about a podium finish in this race from Team Lotto Jumbo. You want a piece of this? Said Simon Yates, and I think Kruijswijk's probably on his limit, but he'll be happy to share duties if he can get himself a podium in this race. What can Valverde do? Quintana has indeed dropped back to help out what has become the team principal, but as Quintana gets good, so fades Valverde, I'm afraid, today, Sean, and the gap is pulling out to 16 and 17 seconds at the moment, and they are at 6s and 7s, Movistar.
Yes, well, is Valverde just playing the waiting game? You know, he's bluffing, and he's you know, an old fox, and you have to be able to keep calm on a mountain as well. Is it that he spent and did not, you know, try and follow Yates, or is he just giving Yates the carrot and leave them just get out there in front and ride on there? And now he's using Quintana and the other riders as well. I think Lopez maybe is not out of this yet. He could start pushing on a bit later, and if Valverde is good enough in the end, who knows what can happen, because 7.4 kilometres on a climb, it's a long way.
Kruijswijk is within 9 seconds of Enric Mas, who's also a little bit further back within that group. In fact, it was Mas that didn't want to take on the duty of chasing these guys down. Didn't want to be bullied into that. Now, is Simon Yates bizarrely being bullied at the moment? Is there any kidology going on with Movistar and indeed Valverde? Well, Mick Collins on Twitter says, don't forget, we're in Simon Yates's backyard. It's absolutely true. Sean, he must know these roads extremely well, and he looks comfortable up front at the moment. Is he coming home?
Well, he looks very comfortable, and the way he's riding, it seems like that he is in real good shape. And yeah, the question is now with Valverde, is he a little bit under difficulty here, the way he's just hanging back a bit?
Valverde, so much expected of him, almost as a constant. And the expectation of Simon Yates, always stratospheric. This is a man who never lacked self-belief. There have been doubts that have been fired out there all around this man ever since his collapse in the Giro, but it shows what form he was on for that race. Had he held back a little bit, maybe he would have won it after that stellar attack by Chris Froome, famously brought to you, of course, live here on Eurosport, your home of cycling. But this is a huge moment, not only for Simon Yates and the Yates family, including his brother Adam, but also for Mitchelton Scott, and others are starting to pick up the mantle, and Wilco Kelderman has a dig. Well, what's the response, and what's Valverde's response most significantly? And he follows on, hoping that the temptation of Mas losing a podium spot to Steven Kruijswijk is going to cause some action, and that's precisely what's happening right now. There are others here that may well be able to offer up more of an assist than Quintana, who is done. Give me a bottle, he says. The arm goes up. I don't know if it's a bottle or a technical. Just look, he's got a rear puncture by the looks of things. What a nightmare. Well, that can happen at any time. Oh, my goodness, Sean. Best laid plans.
Yes, well, it can happen at any time, and it's the worst time possible here for Quintana to get this problem. And we can see here just the mechanic is going to push him for as long as possible here, get him back up to speed. Will he be able to get back to the group of Valverde? Because we can see Kelderman is after pushing on, so it's going to be a difficult one for him to get back into this group of all favourites.
Well, don't forget Simon Yates pushed off on his own. Kelderman's done exactly the same. Is Valverde keen to do much different? Let's wait and see. 29 seconds. Are they going to? Is he hoping that Quintana can get back in? And if he does, at what cost in terms of the resources he's got to share with Valverde? Let's wait and see. 6.1 kilometres from home. 32 seconds the advantage now between the red and the green jerseys. Thibaut Pinot is freeloading here on two guys he knows is going to do a lot of work. And to me, this makes Pinot the red-hot favourite to take the stage. But he's an unwelcome passenger for them. They could do with a a bit more help, and it may well arrive in the form of Wilco Kelderman.
Yes, well, Kelderman is looking good. You know, he put in that first attack and then was pulled back and went again. We can see Galopin pushing on here, and yeah, Valverde is sitting back a lot. He's waiting, you know, for Lopez. He's waiting for Mas, and is he playing that tactic game as Quintana gets back in here? So that is going to be important for Valverde here, that he has somebody to continue setting the pace. And if you have a rider at this point, still 5.6 kilometers to go, Quintana, if you can continue on just working away at it, it ain't over yet.
No, it is not over yet. Tony Galopin's trying to bridge over here to tag Wilco Kelderman. Galopin getting greedy after taking stage 7. He's quite like another one, quite frankly. Don't forget that stage, spectacular rolling one it was that punished many, we remind you. Well, punishment is something that's being dished out here by Simon Yates. He's looked the strongest out there, bar none, Sean, and he's riding like a winner in waiting at the moment. What on earth can Valverde do about it? And we're starting to ask the question right now. My goodness, the gaps are turning into fissures, and this may well be almost a crowning day, with a huge day to come tomorrow, we remind you. So maybe just keep it in the hands of the Archbishop just for the time being before he hands it out. But this is one heck of a day, and the man who's taken the most punishment is the man who's trying to dish it out, Valverde.
Yes, well, he is losing a lot of ground here. We can see that you know, the gap is growing out to over the minute at the moment, and this man here, Kelderman, 29 seconds, as we can see up front. Pino just starts to push on a bit more, and that's Pino. He climbs in that style. He just makes a sudden acceleration, and that is putting Kreiswyk in a bit of difficulty. We can see the group of Valverde 57 seconds, so he's coming down because it was over a minute at the moment, and Kelderman just at that 28 seconds, and that's going to be a fight now in the final 5 kilometers, which are inside that. Yeah, how much can Quintana do for Valverde, and is Valverde, is he on the limit here? Is he just suffering and trying to just hang in there and limit his losses? That we will see. He has to do something in the final 3+ kilometers, because otherwise it's going to be too late.
Yep, it is, and that sort of margin is not easily bridged, especially with the fortitude and determination that's been displayed by Simon Yates. And this is the Valverde group right now, and as you can see, it also includes lots of hopefuls, does it not? I'm afraid, back here. Lopez in the white combined jersey is nursing on behalf, and he goes, he takes off. Oh, Pello Bilbao just gets in tries to mark him out, and Quintana, I'm afraid, is shot. But the big reaction comes from Valverde. Well, does he know something about what he's got left? I can't imagine he would have wanted this scenario with a minute of gap to the red jersey with 4.2 kilometers to go, and it looks like the green ship at the moment is sinking. Adam Yates has got a free ride here. He's on marking outs duties. This is absolutely phenomenal. What a battle. And indeed, Thibaut Pinot must be loving this. He's got a free ride up front. It's either Kreiswyk for Lotto Jumbo in the yellow here, or indeed the red jersey of Simon Yates that's been doing much of the work. And this is going to tee up, I think, Thibaut Pinot to make a steal. Still pushing in is Kelderman. They're all starting to believe. This is Kelderman who started the day in 12th place, bidding for a solid top 10 position in this Vuelta. And he's going to be equal to it at the moment. He's only 34 seconds down. Good man. Kelderman just about 200 meters away from his quarry, a little bit more than that, but 35 seconds down. Minute and 6 now, and it's going the wrong way as far as Valverde is concerned. And you know, I feel sorry for him. He's outlined this superbly, but so has indeed Pinot, and he's writing a script right now. And I don't think Simon Yates is going to burn any matches trying to light a fire in that gap. And Kreiswyk as well will sit with him, knowing that he's going to take a big advance. It's a chance for Pinot, but can he deliver it? He went on a burst there, and quite frankly, it looks like he thought, oh my goodness, this is a little bit tougher than I thought. Sometimes, Sean, you ask yourself the question and you don't like the answer.
Well, yeah, sometimes when you go on the attack, you might feel that you're feeling, you know, good before you go, but when you just get that 5 or 6 bike lengths ahead, then the legs start to scream a bit at you, and yeah, you have to knock it off a bit. But we know Pinot, he's going to go from far out. That's what he did the last time on Lagos or Covadonga. He won from 6 kilometres out, so he's going to try and ride away. But this is going to be a difficult one here because Simon Yates looks to be real strong, and he just looked around at Kreiswick and then just continued on and closed down on Pino. As we can see, they're still fighting here, just attacking, looking around, and it's Bilbao from the Astana team who is setting the pace here on the front of the rest of the group. And we have Kelderman who is coming up there, but Galopin also should be in between. He went up the road, and I did not see him coming back to that group of favourites, notably Valverde and the rest, so he must be in between.
Yeah, he's detailed. It's 12 seconds back from the man who's on your screen right now. They haven't put a motorcycle on. They can't do it on everybody, but it's Tony Galopin who's just about to bridge up to this man, Wilco Kelderman, who is trailing the red jersey by a margin of around 39 seconds. And here is Simon Yates, and he decides to pick it up. Thibaut Pinot here, I hope he offers these boys something, if only a thank you at the end of the day. But to be honest, Simon Yates, if he's helping himself to the title here, then that is going to taste rather nicely. A dish served cold on a chilly afternoon as the temperatures just start to tip down a little bit. But quite frankly, Simon Yates is looking like a winner in waiting. I know we've got a tough day still to come tomorrow, and there'll be a battle plan from Movistar. And in fact, let's not forget, we've seen ambition crumble in Grand Tours on a penultimate day, just as Tom Dumoulin a few years ago. Well, let's see what happens here, shall we? That was back in the Giro, we remind you. But nonetheless, as we look at today, and we look at Galopin, and it looks like he's just going to get attacked by these guys. Simon Yates still pushes on, and he wants to make this emphatic, Sean. This is about issuing a bit of cruelty, and there's nothing wrong with that if you're winning.
Well, he's made aware that the advantage he's got on his main rival, Alexander Valverde, and he's not hanging around at all there. He just continued on. He wants to take as much time as possible, and that's what you've got to do when you've got, you know, he's the advantage here. He knows that Valverde is in difficulty, and make as much time gain as possible when you get the opportunity.
Just checking the gap overall between Mas and indeed Kreiswijk. And as it stands at the moment, Kreiswijk is going to vault over Lopez and Mas and help himself to a podium position behind Valverde if it stays the way it is at the moment. And still Simon Yates kicks on. Only 2 kilometres to go. They're coming home, Sean. There's this last little kicker that they've got to deal with. They've sailed round many of the headlands. There's one coming right now. And then, of course, the Flamme Rouge will be the latest marker for them. They have to tick them all off, mentally speaking. He must have done it in his dreams, Sean, and it's turning out to be a dream performance by Simon Yates. A nightmare for everybody else who had a hope today.
Yes, well, Simon Yates is definitely, you know, riding his way into winning this Vuelta at the moment, because he's going to take so much time from Valverde and some of the other main contenders. Notably Mas. I thought Mas would be more active on this climb. Lopez as well. We see him there. He's not able to do anything, and they're all just you know, clinging on to each other here and trying to limit the time loss. But 1:05 here for Yates out in front, back to Valverde. That is a big gap, and he's going to really take a big advantage at the end of this stage this evening.
Yep, absolutely huge. You may say the king in waiting, but of course he's already got the robe, has he not? In carmine here. There are other operas available. What will he be singing at the end of today? 1.5 kilometres to go, and last roll of the dice, and here goes Lopez trying to make amends for this, and I'm afraid others go pop all over this mountain, and Pello Bilbao it is that finds himself having done his job potentially for his teammate. There's Quintana. Oh, shoulders, I'm afraid, potentially going to be dropping it, but Valverde stays in touch. Rigoberto Urán is here. They just rolled over to Lopez, who made the latest attack, and Mas picks it up. He goes for it in the blue and white of Quick-Step, and indeed Urán's going to go, and they're pouring on the hurt here, and Valverde can't respond. Oh my goodness, it's like they're all feasting upon him. Oh, the vultures in the high mountains, they are in this part of the world, but Valverde, the brave rider that he is, just tries to find something and pour it in, and the hurt rolls on. My goodness, Kreiswijk here knows that he's under pressure, and it looks like it's going to be Simon Yates versus Pinot, unless he can roll himself back in. He has got that diesel power, but it's the explosive Simon Yates who goes for it, and he lets off another firecracker here, and it's a huge display at the top of this mountain. Not quite in night time, but my goodness, the darkness darkness is descending, it seems, here on Valverde.
Yes, well, Valverde, we could see that he's in difficulty and he's just trying to cling on in there. And when Lopez went, he followed. But the second move from Lopez, not able to stay. And we can see now he's starting to lose ground and really suffering here.
Infamy. Infamy. They've all got an infamy, and they have. They've gone. And here goes Simon Yates. This is absolutely fantastic. Watch those meters count down, and watch indeed the heat be turned up by Pinot, at least for the stage win. He's going to go and help himself. A man who has not been able to help himself, I'm afraid, at least from the top table, is Valverde. Crumbs for him today. He'll hold on to the green jersey, though, and that may well have to be his significant consolation prize. The camera sails by Kelderman, who's run out of resources as well. Mass knows that he's dropped a place likewise here. I'm afraid it's going to be Kruijswijk unless he totally fades. Haven't got a camera on him, but right now we are waiting for Simon Yates to come home. Can he grab another stage win here and deny Thibaut Pinot, who must be fresher than the Englishman? Here he is out of his saddle. Simon Yates in the red jersey, and that's what you want, to make a statement this deep into the race. And what a statement it is, Sean.
Yes, well, what a ride by Simon Yates, and we can see here he's just continuing on, not even looking around at Thibaut Pinot. He's going to go all the way to the line and just pull out as many seconds as possible here, and he knows that everybody is scattered further down the mountain, so he's just going to go all the way here and not worry about Pinot for the stage victory.
Pinot's going to go for the stage. Thank you very much. Thanks for the ride. Really enjoyed it. Pinot will take his second stage win on La Vuelta, adding to that on stage 15. But Simon Yates is going to make enormous inroads into his bid to become a Grand Tour winner. Pinot sails around here, takes some applause, but everyone's looking for red. And Simon Yates has put everyone behind him in the red, notably the man in the green. Pinot punches the air. Yates finishes now, and the clock starts to roll. It was at 4 seconds in arrears that we saw Yates cross the line. Gets bonuses as well, 6 seconds at the line, let's not forget, to add to his tally, his advantage over those behind. My goodness, Sean, what a day of racing we have had. We say it so often, but never was it more true in terms of the sheer determination of Simon Yates today, which he displayed on this mountain. It was marvellous.
Yes, well, he was really up for it. We could see that in the very earlier point when he did kick off a long ways out. He had to be confident, he had to feel good, as we can see Rigoberto Urán just pushing on here from the rest of the general classification contenders. It'll be interesting to see Lopez, Mas, we can see here, and Valverde a lot further down the mountain.
Yes, indeed. Lopez, Mas gunning to hold on to their positions in the top 5, and Urán starting to think about that. Crossing the line comes Kelderman, minute and 4 down to a minute off the winner, and here comes Valverde, a brave rider, a gutsy rider, and indeed they tried, Sean. They tried as hard as they might to break down Simon Yates, but he was today as hard as granite. His determination at the beginning of the day was reflected deeper into it. Simon Yates, believe me, went deep, but he had the resources to make it stick, and today he's come home as surely our Vuelta winner in waiting. Strange things can happen. This race isn't over. We head to La Galina tomorrow. The special climb at the end could be a very special day. We'll see how it pans out. Quintana comes home a minute and 49 down. La Vuelta, it always throws up drama. Every stage is exactly that, upon which you have to perform. And the big player today, I think even Pinot will agree, is Simon Yates. Still to come home. Micah's going to make it in. Jonas Izagirre is up here as well. It seeds over 2 minutes, and I think Izagirre may well be starting to drop out of this one. Tony Galopin had a good day, but AG2 Ola Mondial. Manny Bookman, likewise. Well, we'll see how it pans out for you, but my goodness, that was a classy day and a classy leader we have. Great win for Pinot. Simon Yates finishing second. But look at the gap between himself and Valverde on the day. A yawning one. Wonderful day on the Vuelta. 2 more to come, don't forget, here on your home of cycling, Eurosport. Thibaut Pinot takes his 2nd stage of La Vuelta, and you can see what it means to him. He can get used to this. There in that picture you saw sailing around the corner, not that far in arrears, Simon Yates. Yates finishing 5 seconds down at the line, but more significantly picks up 6 seconds of bonus added to his tally, and indeed the gap that he posted over Valverde. Let's speak to this day's stage winner, however, shall we, before hopefully we can hear a word from our leader, Simon Yates. Here's Thibaut.
Avec Jeff, bravo. Bravo.
Thibaut, après les Lagos de Covadonga, vous aviez prévenu, vous en vouliez plus.
After Lagos de Covadonga, you said you wanted more, and you've got it. Yeah, it was the icing on the cake. I didn't think I was going to make it. I wasn't feeling good on Wednesday. But I found my legs again, and so I just wanted to enjoy myself and give it a try. It was a nice stage today, a fast one with a nice climb, so I really wanted to attack early enough. I attacked 12 kilometers from the end. Were you surprised to see Simon Yates coming back? Yeah, I was. I think he knows the climb very well. So he knew, because he lives here, he knew exactly where to go. He knew what he was doing. He saw Alejandro Valverde wasn't that good. So it was a good moment, and the best moment was to attack when we both had the legs. It served them both very well. Thibaut Pinot then takes the stage, and indeed by a margin of 5 seconds in front of Simon Yates. Kruijswijk did himself some favours as well to get himself on the overall podium, finishing 3rd today. He moves up to 3rd overall with a modest 17-second advantage over Mas, who falls down 1, and Miguel Angel Lopez, who also moves down a place. They are the top 5. Quintana in 6, with Pinot up 2 to 7.
Second stage win by Thibaut Pinot, the second of this Vuelta a España, but we have to talk about Simon Yates, the leader, even more leading the Vuelta a España at this point, at just 1 day to mountain stage to go before we get in Madrid. The story is that Simon Yates rode very offensively, so did Movistar, but Simon attacked at 10 kilometers to go from the finish line. He took that initiative instead of waiting till the end, to the last 2Ks and 3Ks to open the gap. The reason why he chose that distance, going for so long from the finish line, was in order to open a bigger gap ahead of that stage tomorrow. We have to think that maybe Movistar played a little bit like too early, but actually they didn't really have the legs, because Alejandro Valverde couldn't follow Simon Yates' move, and that really benefited the leader of the race, the British rider from Mitchelton Scott, who's even more leader. And the gap opened today over 1:05 on Alejandro Valverde will allow him to ride a little bit more easy on tomorrow's stage, which is just below 100 kilometers with a lot of mountains to cope.
A lot of mountains still to come. Well, Simon Yates looks equal to them at the moment. Let's hear from the man who's now on the overall podium, Steven Kruijswijk. What a great day it was for him as well, let's not forget. Here he comes. He's 1:58 down, 20 behind Valverde.
Yeah, the guys put me really good in front at the bottom of the climb already, together with Movistar, and suddenly Quintana attacked quite early, and I said to Joyce, try to follow, and suddenly we had a gap, and I pulled for a little while, and then Pinot came across, and Yates a little bit later, and he started pulling full, and that was quite an advantage for me, because I couldn't go much faster. I was struggling a little bit with altitude also in the last part, and yeah, he was going for gaining a lot of time, I think, on Valverde, and he was putting quite fast, and I could take profit of it.
on a day like that with such a hard stage to come tomorrow, is there any part of you that doesn't want to go too deep, just in case?
Yeah, you have to go with the race. I couldn't predict how today would end, and we spoke about this morning, and some guys said, the climb is not so hard, it's pretty steady. You will finish with a group of 10, and I said, it's the last week, everything can happen. And you saw, I think we took a lot of time back, and yeah, tomorrow can be a whole different story again with a lot of climbs coming after each other. And yeah, I think we can expect Movistar to drop a big attack.
What's the goal now?
I think I'm third now in the GC, and of course I would love to hold this place.
Thanks, Stephen.
Stephen, is it a 4?
Worked hard, did a great job. Whether there are winners, there are losers. Enric Mas tumbles down to 4th place. Miguel Angel Lopez down to 5th. Let's have a look at the GC, shall we? Okay. Simon Yates leads this race by 1 minute and 38 over Alejandro Valverde. Kruijswijk just under the 2-minute mark down, close at hand, 17 minutes behind, 17 seconds, I beg your pardon, is Enric Mas. Lopez in 5th, then Quintana in 6th. Thibaut Pinot has vaulted up to 7th. Oran Yoni Zagera down to 9th, and in 10th place is Tony Galopin. Still we wait to hear from Simon Yates. Here is our day's winner, however. Thibaut Pinot rode it clever, Sean. I think it was a gift that he was sitting alongside Simon Yates, who really wanted to put the hurt on everybody, and Pinot just had to stay cool and deliver, and he did.
Yes, well, Pinot was the one who hit out first and a long ways out, and then he had riders coming across to him, and when Simon Yates came across, he was a big advantage to him because he was the one who was driving it on all the time. We did see Pinot was doing some work, but Yates did the majority of the work to pull that advantage out.
Congratulations to Thibaut Pinot and our appreciation, and indeed we give a bow towards Simon Yates. Today, well, it was about a breakaway, you might have thought. Well, on paper it looked like it would beg one. Well, begging is one thing and delivering is indeed another. Benjamin Thomas of Groupama Francis Jeux was up there, along with Castroviejo of Team Sky, and indeed Tom van Aersbroek, the second, indeed third incarnation of the breakaways. When we came out into some of the exposed sections, the hurt was put on. It was Movistar that were really digging deep on the day. They went into full attack. And we've asked so many times, have they done too much to try and control the race? Well, they put Simon Yates under pressure. Well, that was the flats. And once we got to the climb, what had Movistar got left? Well, they started to burn their players again and again. Sent Quintana up the road. Valverde was always tucked in with the favourites, and indeed Simon Yates sitting alongside him. Simon Yates himself, though, as Quintana had an issue, was going to impose himself. Oh, Quintana got himself a puncture. It was a selective group that it became, and as Simon Yates moved on in the company of Thibaut Pinot, Valverde was just saw the other major podium players leave him to his fate, and that fate was a painful one. Simon Yates and Thibaut Pinot rode up the mountain together. Both were winners on the day. Thibaut Pinot taking his second stage win of this Vuelta, and Simon Yates helping himself to an enormous advantage going into the last climbing day tomorrow. The overall classification for the stage, Thibaut Pinot took it by 5 seconds ahead of Yates, but 1 minute and 12 ahead of Valverde. A glorious backdrop, I think it's fair to say, to what was a hugely dramatic day. Well, the green jersey is with Alejandro Valverde, and if you think that's his only target now, well, think again. There's a big climbing day to come tomorrow, and the way that the legs, Sean, deep into a race, come and go, we ask ourselves what he's got left to offer up tomorrow.
Well, it's going to be an interesting one tomorrow. Whatever happens, it's going to be a really difficult day for everybody. We did hear from Pino there. He was suffering on Wednesday, and how good was he today?
There you go.
Jack, can you tell us a little bit about how much you conserved energy towards the end? You and Adam looked like you just dropped off to save stuff for tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. After sort of doing my job there until 10K to go, I swung off and just rode up, waved to a few friends on the way up the climb, and enjoyed it and tried to save some energy for tomorrow, because tomorrow's going to be hard.
Was today's result even better than you guys could have hoped for, or was it as you expected?
No, better, I think. I think if we'd finished today with Simon at the same as we started, we would have been very happy. So to have almost a minute or a minute's time is a very good thing.
You're working so well with Adam as well for Simon. Some people are calling you Jack Yates now, you know that?
Yeah, maybe. Maybe there's some heritage back there in England. We are convicts after all.
Okay, I don't know if that'll go out. Thanks, Jack.
No worries.
It did. Simon Yates, he's our leader, and by an enhanced margin. Sean, classy ride.
Well, a real powerful ride, and you know, the confidence that we give him, as we heard from Jack Haig there, you know, they were probably a little bit concerned about Valverde on this sort of climb especially, but Yates was the man, and he, of the challenge for the overall victory, definitely looking the strongest one on today's final.
Wonderful. Great as well for British cycling, let's not forget. And of course our mates down under at Mitchelton Scott, they must be absolutely cock-a-hoop. First Grand Tour, could they land it? Well, they've got to get through tomorrow, and Galena, after going so close on the Giro, and the heartbreak of that, the team, as well as Simon Yates and his brother Adam, have really picked themselves up, Sean, refocused, and they're just on the cusp of delivering.
Yes, well, you can see that Adam Yates is coming better as this race go on. Jack Haig has been a good ride through, and it's good to see that he's resting up, because he was challenged for the general a week ago. That's what you do not want in the team. I think is all behind Simon Yates now to win this Vuelta outright.
Con Andorra y con el saludo para un andorrano de adopción, aquí viviendo en Andorra.
Stage 20, it's on the cards. And quite frankly, it looks like somebody has attacked the terrain with a large pair of scissors. It is a sequence of hellish climbs. Just look at that. It's going to bite somebody. The Vuelta, it never disappoints. It comes at the end of the year. It's time often to make amends. And for those who've missed out, maybe just help yourself to glory. Let's find out tomorrow, shall we? How this tale will be told. If you're looking for a write-up, you'll find it in the section marked drama. From me, Carter Kirby, and Sean Kelly. We're going to rest up tonight, and then we go again tomorrow in your good company.